What's good, party people? Yeah, so we're gonna get some martial arts talk going this evening. We're waiting on folks to come through, so you can pretty much kick it with me for the time being, and we're gonna make some things crack. Um, my brother Shihan Khalil, I know he'll be here in a few minutes. We should have a couple of folks, and we're gonna have some fun, man. And we're actually gonna touch on some things today in regards to what's going on in this country. Um, Now I realize this is going to be martial arts talk. Let me put my stuff on here. I realize this is going to be martial arts talk, but as it pertains to Black and brown people in this country, um, martial arts, self defense, all of that stuff is relevant. So I do want to touch on that today. And so when some of the brothers get on here, I think we're going to dig into that first, and then we'll slide into some of the stuff that was already planned before this nonsense took place. So yeah, of course, be patient with me. We're waiting to get this stuff cracking, and I'm still getting acclimated to doing all this stuff. So again, you be patient. I'm working on it. Everything is everything. Hopefully y'all doing well considering all this stuff. I know that they're protesting in DC, which I love my folks. I love my DMV folks, so that's awesome. I wish I was down there. I'm in Baltimore. I live up here now, so can't really get down there like that. Got kids and all that, but I'm very, very happy that folks are doing what they're doing. Again, I wish I was down there myself. I know they're doing some things in Atlanta too. I've heard there's been some. It hasn't gone down smoothly, but I'm not necessarily a proponent of. I'm not advocating necessarily anything. I'm simply saying that, bro, enough is enough. Like, how long does this type of thing have to go on before people just get upset, before people are done with it, man? Like, it's a crazy thing that everybody always wants everybody. Oh, I hope you guys are peaceful. Don't burn anything down. But we don't initiate this stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's not. I don't want to take y'all through a history lesson. I don't think it's even necessarily needed. I mean, basic education in American schools at least gives you enough of the history to understand and put what's happening today in some sense of context. Certainly, I know if you have walked around this earth in Black and brown skin, then you already know what's up. You already know. So, I mean, I've been vocal about stuff like this for a very, very long time. I have a problem with bullies. I always have. I think some of the first fights I've been in my life were people who I certainly felt bullied by. And I feel like it's part of the reason that you train, man. Like I'm a dude that I'm born in 75. So back then, this is before cable, certainly before the internet. Bruce Lee was a part of my television diet. That's part of some of the first things that were introduced to my brain. Him, people like Harriet Tubman and Spider-Man, those were probably my first three heroes in life. And, there's a common vein with all of them in terms of them doing what they felt was right and defending other people. And I think that's part of the obligation and part of your duty as a martial artist and just a human being in general. Like, that's what you're supposed to do. What we're seeing, look, all right, let me see. My brother John is in the mix. Yo, what's good, man? What up, brother?
What's going on, brother?
Man, I appreciate you because you saved me. I had to get my little monologue on for a second. I was like, all right, well, I'm a talker. I could go.
Right.
I think my brother Khalil is supposed to be here in a little bit. I know Gary got tied up. I know he's taken everything that's happened in the last few to heart. And I mean, not like he's an exception. I'm sure, I was just saying before, if you've lived this life walking around in black or brown skin, you know what this is. And, I'm sure we have similar feelings. So once he gets here, I mean, we can actually start in on it, but I did want to start today with some of that because as it pertains, martial arts is self-defense. That's part of what we're doing. We're not out here trying to start gang fights, for God's sake. You're here to protect yourself. I was saying how like being born in 75, Bruce Lee's one of my first 3 heroes in life. Like, there was no cable. So, we're either watching Godzilla or Kung Fu flicks, that's what's on TV.
True.
And Bruce, he's one of those, he was a hero. And I always looked up to heroes. I really think that's probably even what drove me to do martial arts, man. I wanted to be like those people. You know what I'm saying? Like, the fighting is great, but fighting for no reason doesn't really make a lot of sense. But fighting for purpose, that's, I think it was Spider-Man, Bruce Lee, Harriet Tubman, and Luke Skywalker. That just started my life. Just, and
that's a nice
group. Yeah, I mean, all of those folks, it's the same thing. It's the same thing with all of them. Like, I wanted to be those people, man. I wanted to be them. Like, I wasn't a voyeur, dog. I took gymnastics to be like Spider-Man. I literally wanted to flip around. A kid brain. And my dad
that wouldn't have worked for me. 6'7".
Oh, well, look, I'm 5'9" on a good day. So, yeah, man. But like, I do want once Khalil gets here, because I know Anson's tied up. I don't know if you met Anson before or no?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. He started recently working for the for Baltimore Public Defender's Office. So he's a lawyer for them. And okay. I mean, he loves the work because it's good, because he's kind of swamped. So I was like, yo, you don't have like 30 minutes? Like just kick in and at least chime in on this. Because I think everybody that's going to be involved in this tonight, we have some similar ideas about, just extending beyond martial arts, like who we are in the world and contextually how that all.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, you know how it goes, birds of a feather. So yeah. We definitely have a certain mindset. I think one thing about it is not just some of our experiences being the same, but even honor system. That's one thing that I'm big on is trying to live that life and be as honorable as possible. And even in the face of opposition, against somebody that I may care about, or maybe somebody that I don't necessarily know. Either way, right is right. And I mean, I've actually had arguments with Joel over certain principle things where in the long run, he may turn around and be like, you know what? Okay, I understand where you're coming from, and right. And ultimately, but that's the best type of people to be around, those that will challenge you to be a better person.
Him and I recently, we through the course of like maybe a week and a half, we were talking about like I have a problem with coined terms and phrases, because it tends to minimize what caused that to be coined and termed in the first place. So like stuff like conspiracy theories, to me, literally the word conspire, you and I can conspire to murder someone. That's a conspiracy. It doesn't have to be as grandiose as like whatever. It doesn't have to be some big world dominating thing, which I think some of those things exist. It becomes harder to like put your finger on why and who and what when it's something of that scale. But again, people get arrested for conspiracy to murder all the time. That's a common occurrence. When you take something like 9/11, and I ain't trying to go way off the thing, but like, it doesn't matter who did it. Well, I'm not saying it doesn't matter, but when I'm talking about the fact that people obviously conspired to make that happen, there was a group of people who didn't announce it to us until they did it. So a conspiracy was afoot. Like, it's not. One of my favorite sayings, God, I can't get that out. The greatest trick the devil ever pulled is to make people believe he didn't exist. And it's the same kind of thing. Like, if we stop searching for the answers, or we belittle each other for coming up with theories and ideas, it dissuades us from searching for the truth. And
ultimately, all that belittling is being too lazy to figure out the truth for yourself.
And then it's astonishing to think, like, Well, the government wouldn't do that. Like, huh? Look, I have a suspicious mind,
Really?
bro. You know me, I'm a defensive fighter anyway, so I'm suspicious of people. I suspect you're going to be doing things, and I want to be ready for what it is that you're doing because I think you're going to do it. So, and Joel actually did kind of turn around on that. The problem is you have so many half-baked theories, and that's the problem. And none of us want to hear that shit. Like, you know, we don't. But we can't deny the fact that people do shit because people do shit. I mean, they do it all the time. They do it every day.
Absolutely. So, I mean, you even look at something like this COVID-19 thing. Everybody thinks, you know, has a conspiracy about it, thought that of how it could be developed. Right. And, you know, maybe it's true, maybe it's not, maybe it's something that went out of control, or maybe it was specifically engineered for a purpose. Right. But we can't sit here and act as if certain things did not happen in the past that would lead us to believe that those are possible now.
And that's where I am. Like, I can't put it, I don't put anything past it. Look, some of the same entities that brought smallpox blankets, I mean, it's not beyond you. It's not beyond you. It's just not beyond you. So, exactly. I mean.
Now, the next step, however, isn't just staying at the theory, but to do additional research.
Right, and find out.
Exactly how this pans out as to if this is viable or if this is just some garbage. And that's not, unfortunately, that's not going to come out for several years, because I don't think that those that are privy to that information are going to basically get that out to the masses. Right. And if they're doing that at a huge risk to their own
massive, because those look, the thing is, throughout the course of human history, whether you're talking about kingdoms and queens and such, or overlords, leaders, whatever, tyrants, people who have power and resources, they don't want to give that up. No one wants to give up the king of the hill. They don't want to give up that stuff. And people will go to great lengths and do horrific things to keep it. And I refuse to believe now. It's funny that you brought up the word honor, because I was talking to Khalil earlier about both the word honor and integrity. And people look at you like you have two heads when you mention those. Like in 2020, they look at you like you're
that's because it's lacking severely.
We've plummeted even further, I think, from the mark where there at least used to be politicians that, in the back room, away from public eye, they have policies that they know are going to impact certain segments of society. But then they're at least going to pretend and put on the face and not say the most disgusting things that we hear these days. Yeah. So it's just, I think the scale for all this stuff has just dropped, and I think people are tired of pretending that they're not racist. And so
they can be tired if they want, but there's going to definitely be repercussions for it. Regardless of how they feel. Okay, if you want to tell me that you're a racist, fine, but the same way you can tell me you're a racist doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to be okay with that. You have to be okay with the fact that the whole world knows you're a racist, you're a bigot, you're leading them down a certain path of destruction, whatever it may be. And because of that, there's going to be repercussions.
Of course.
Can you deal with those repercussions? If so, fine.
Cool.
Do being a racist.
Do it.
But if not, don't be mad when ultimately it comes back and bites you in the ass.
You make your bed. You make your bed, man. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, it does take a severely small human being to, if you've lived long enough. I've met assholes of all kinds. I've met black assholes, white assholes, Asian assholes. I mean, I've met dickheads of every manner and cool people of every kind. So unless you're living in some homogenized backwoods spot where you just aren't engaging with anybody but people who look like you, then there's really no excuse. I don't understand how in this day and age, the orange guy's from New York. There's everybody in New York. Like, how did you arrive at such a place? But
it's a shame too, because as diverse as New York is, you would think that ultimately someone such as him would have rubbed shoulders with enough people, got in touch with enough people, had some type of dealing with them other than the let me try and buy you off dealing, because ultimately that's his only thing, is to try and buy people off. I truly believe that the world would probably have been a better place if he got his ass whooped back in the days,
Yeah.
Because, you know, just like we all know that anyone that's gotten into a fight before and got their ass whooped knows that it builds character. Yeah, I mean, we'll be the first to joke about that, to say it builds character, right. But the reality is it actually does build character. Literally because does. You have that moment and say, you know what? I'm sorry. Yeah. I made a mistake. Or you could be like, okay, we had our fight, but you know, and we're just going to agree to disagree. Right. But now I can at least respect you. The fact of the matter is, once you go through something like that, you tend to move different. But if you've never experienced that, if you've never actually caught one, you know, get punched in the face or something like that, you keep moving in this manner where you think that there are no consequences to your action. Right. And he clearly has never dealt with consequences to his actions. It goes now I truly believe after all this is said and done, when he leaves office, that he's probably going to deal with a lot of consequences.
I hope so too. I hope so.
You know,
what's going on, brother? You got us? I think Khalil's in here. What's up, brother?
Peace.
What's going on, man?
What's going on, gentlemen?
So what's going on? Doing the soft opening. You know, I obviously we're going to do some martial arts talk, but I did want to start off with what's going on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right now, everybody's down in DC, and I wish I was down there. Atlanta's off the hook from what I'm hearing, and again, I'm not advocating or endorsing, but I say I completely understand. So I'm not mad at none of it. You know, I'm not necessarily one of these don't burn nothing down people. I'm not suggesting you do or don't. I mean, live your life and do if you. I understand. So anyway,
it's delicate, man.
I'm not encouraging nothing. I'm just simply saying I get and understand where that is. I will throw this out there. I was born on the same day Nat Turner led his insurrection. I think that's such a dope thing. Whether it means anything cosmically or not, it means something to me. You know what I'm saying? I was born, August 21st, bro. I was born the same day. That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, you crazy, man. Is that John over there, man?
Yeah, man.
What's up, bro?
Chilling. Yo, what's ironic that you even mentioned that, Paul, is the fact I was born on Ghana's Independence Day.
See what I'm saying? Like these things
are. Sure enough, you know, my whole family's from Ghana. So
see, it's beautiful stuff. Like cosmic, again, whether there's cosmic significance or not, maybe there is. Who's to say? I haven't met God. I'll ask when that day happens. But I do know I have always been a rebellious soul. It's been that way from day one. Parents, authority figures, all of it. I hate bullies. I think my first fight in life, I was saying this before y'all got on, I think my first fight in life was a bully, or somebody I thought I took as a bully. I thought what you were doing. And I've never liked it. And I still have a big problem with abuse of power. Like the coolest martial artists, the motherfuckers that could really whoop your ass are some of the coolest people. I know the coolest people that will bang you right on out. They'll bang you right out. They're so cool, so humble, chill. And that's the beauty of martial arts. I think you get to a place, and right before you came on, Khalil, we was talking about the humbling character building aspects of taking an ass whooping. Like if you haven't had one, developmentally, you may not go as far as if, you know, once you do have one.
Right.
In that boxing gym, I took plenty. I'd be sitting on the stairs like, nigga, I suck. Like, like, fuck. But you know, you get in your feelings, you go home, you retool, you come back home, and you know, you come back and you get it in. But like that, it's a developmental thing. I was telling my boys today that failure, or quote unquote failure, or losing is one of the most valuable things that can ever happen to your life. You know what I mean? I always remember the fights that I learned from, like, you know what? We're about to go back, we're about to retool. And I want that man again. Like I want that man again. You know?
Yeah.
I'll take it. Listen, we're gonna take this ass whooping until we at least get here.
And be like that, man. It be like, even with sparring, dude, it's like you get moments that stick with you. You get moments that haunt you. I mean, back in my Taekwondo tournament days, like I would come home and be staring at the ceiling like, man, if I had to just fake that side kick and do that round kick, like, you know what I mean? And it'd be like, I'd be like ornery the next day. You know what I'm saying? Because you know, and even little sparring matches, like, you know what I'm saying? That's I mean, that's just a way that you know that, you know, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing because you obsess over it. You know what I mean?
I think it causes some introspective thinking that I think sometimes I forget that other people who are not martial artists don't have that component in their life.
Right.
Because you don't look at yourself. Like you can blame everybody else in life. Your coworker did A, B, and C. When it's just you and that other man, you can't blame nobody. Who are you blaming? It's you.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
You didn't have your hand up, or you assumed, or you leaned too far, or you loaded up, or whatever you did that was on you, and you got to take it and go back to the lab and get it together.
This is something that, as you say, it's a martial artist. I definitely felt it being a martial artist, but I actually felt it before that as well, just being an athlete in general. From my college football days and in high school football days, you know, I started high school football basically never playing football ever before.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
And every single year, I basically had a chip on my shoulder regarding the previous year as to what I need to do to get better. By my senior year, I was so amped and angry and just, I had the chip on my shoulder the size of New York State.
Right.
I'm telling you, like I went, there was a reason why I went all state, you know, that year and all American that year. It's because I basically said, you know, I just all the lessons that were built up over the years. Right. It's just like, okay, I can't allow any of y'all now to get one good play in on me. Right. Not even have a good game. You can't have a good play.
Right.
You know, and that's the mindset now that I try and carry into martial arts, where it's like, all right, even if I mess up and get hit in a certain way, okay, I learned that. We learn. Now I'm moving. Now I'm focused on moving quicker. Now I'm focused on my footwork. Now I'm focused on luring you in. There's so many elements to it, but it's that constant steel sharpening steel that really takes you to that next level. And that's why I love having sparring partners like y'all, like Joel, you know, where it's like, y'all are going to force me to get better. I can't take none of y'all like
that. It gets to where like I enjoy. It sounds a little whatever, but I enjoy getting punched or kicked well. Like if somebody got a real place, good joint, I'm never mad about that. I got to adapt that up. Like that's boom. Yes, good. Give me that. That's great. That's how else would you get better? If you win everything, every moment, every stanza, you know how you. I would probably get bored. I'd probably get bored.
Yeah. I mean, it actually ties into that same thing that we were saying earlier regarding getting punched in the face and how Orange Man ain't never get punched in the face when he was growing up. And that's why he now has this chip on his shoulder thinking that nothing bad will happen and no consequences will happen.
Right.
We need the consequences of getting punched so that next time we won't get punched.
It's for everything to exist, the opposite has to exist. You know what I'm saying? So like if there's tranquility and peace, there has to be some war. If there's pleasure, there has to be pain. It has to be.
Right.
Nothing's worth anything without the other thing. You know, what is winning's value if there's no losing? There's no what does it mean? I probably wouldn't do it anymore.
Y'all familiar with the term stress inoculation, right? That's that puts a wrapping around everything you're describing right now. That encapsulates it. Like it. So the concept of stress inoculation is exactly what you said. Is you up against the wall and it brings out another level to your ability. It's like the running back who sees the angle to cut before it even presents itself, because his stress levels and his endorphins, everything is like peaking. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if y'all ever watch Grappler Baki, but it's an animation. You know, there's a lot in those Japanese animated cartoons, man, where they really get into the psychology of the martial artists, because you think about it, you can't have 5 seasons of cartoons kicking and punching each other, right?
Right.
But if you watch them sometimes, man, like the dialogue. But anyways, there's this episode where the main character is trying to force himself to get through this wall.
Okay.
So what he keeps doing is he keeps making his workouts more and more extreme. Like, you know, he'll go from one finger push-ups to one finger push-ups on the edge of the cliff, where if he loses balance, he'll fall. You know what I'm saying? And he just keeps telling himself, man, I gotta break through this wall. You know what I mean? So when you say like, it's exciting, man. Like if you having a sparring match and somebody gets a good solid side kick on you, plant perfect, picture perfect, it's exciting, but it also it peaks your stress levels, and that does 2 things for people. It either takes them towards a peak of performance, or it takes them the opposite way. You know what I mean? And we've all seen fights where people just curl up in the fetal position. You know what I mean? But you know, hey man, it's like a good dance with a lady. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't want to go back to the sloppy dance. She's stepping on your toes and all that. You don't want to go back to that.
Right.
I went to a salsa club one time in my life, man. It changed my life, man. Like, yeah, I don't want to dance with anybody else anymore. You know what I mean? Man. We got to go up from here. You feel me? Like,
I had a bad taste in my mouth left from ice. So I used to date this Chilean. Well, she was Chilean. And,
oh man, I just took the topic. I just took the topic and made it take a turn.
I'm sorry. Hey, man, look, we freestyle. We probably like 2
hey, look, my kids won't never get the lick down, man. Just thinking
of salsa. I'm just thinking of the salsa instructor. He was so stereotypically salsa instructor, and of course he's trying to rap to my girls. I literally came down there on some shit. I was younger. I'm a little younger. I literally came down there on some shit. Like, basically, it's all good now. But if you ever see me again in life, you already know that it's not good. So basically, like, this is my intro. Civil, shake hands, all that. I'm hip to it. You don't have to. He was one of these real, like, smooth talking. I want to say he was white, or maybe he was Hispanic, but presented white. He looked white. But, like, when the black folks would come in, he's real heavy black slang. And when the Spanish folks would come in, he's real heavy. You know, it was just a shifting character who I didn't.
Chameleon.
You just seem very stereotypically salsa instructor-ish dude. And I know you're trying to rap. So it was basically one of them joints like, bet, you know, it's all good now. I'm just saying, if you ever happen to see me again, it's probably not going to be good. Because I'm not coming here again for any other reason. I'm coming to watch a salsa class. That's not happening. But it's great. Anyway, just him saying that just
looks like we may have I think Khalil dropped.
Yeah. I think he said he had something with the kids. I assume he'll be right back. I think he said something with the kid, maybe the kids bed or something. But yeah, no, that salsa thing that was my only. I don't do any salsa dancing. I don't know how to do any of it. But I was like immediately, I was like, that guy. Just thought of that. But yeah, bro, it's crazy, man. Just trying to swing us back away from the salsa anger. The integrity honor piece, like, I definitely want to wrap on that, and I guess we can kind of segue into, again, just touching on it. I don't want to commandeer the whole, you know, we're supposed to be talking some martial arts stuff, and we still kind of are, but
yeah,
I don't know if I want to be like, I'm an angry person, because I don't know that I don't know that that's the word, but there's an underlying thing. Oh, I think we're about to get Joel in here. All right. Shit. That's a pleasant surprise. I didn't think he was going to be able to make it. That's dope.
Oh, cool.
All right.
There he is.
Oh, yeah.
What's going on, man? You can hear us?
I think it says he's connected to the... Yo. What's up, brother? Can you hear us? You got your mic on? Let's see. Oh, it says connecting to audio. Hold on.
All right.
Because I don't know any sign language.
The sign language I know.
That's
just the middle finger. That's about it.
Yeah. I got the middle finger piece. That's the extent of my. You good?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. Boom.
There you go.
All right. Boom. All right.
Was the only two that actually joined?
No, Khalil was here for a second. I think he had to do something with the kids.
Yeah, that was my thing.
Yeah.
Yo, there we go. All right, boom. So now we're in full effect now. All right, boom. Ooh. That's a pleasant surprise, Joe. I wasn't sure if you was gonna be able to make it. This is awesome. This is good.
Well, trust me, I just remembered.
Yeah, I wanted. I was hoping Anson was gonna make it too, because but he's been swamped with, like, he just started doing the public defender's office in Baltimore. So, like, he's got like a ton of paperwork and stuff. I was like, dog, just give me like 30 minutes, man. Like 30 minutes. But you know, he likes his work, so that's good. That's an important thing. So
logo in here.
I did want to just start to briefly touch on just what's going on in it's not like it's new news, but it's just fresh. It's a fresh wound with what's happening. Like I said, people are protesting in DC right now. I think they burning some stuff up in Atlanta. I guess let me just ask you, your immediate feelings. I mean, I can already guess us being Black men walking around in America in 2020. I can probably speak for you all, but just were there any particular things that resonated with you, or any particular thoughts or things that are kind of needling at you right now with all of this, or what are your expectations with any of this? Is anything gonna fucking even happen? I know the one Bama got arrested, but is this even going to go any further, you think?
Look, I'm surprised they even did that.
Yeah, I mean,
because I mean, seriously, the fact that they arrested him, I think they probably arrested him more so for his own safety.
Yeah, hey.
Because one thing that I noticed just over the years, you know, when it comes to riots and stuff like this, you know, unfortunately, a lot of times people will riot, but they won't go to the dude's house.
Right, and they were at homie's crib, like kind of deep. It's kind of deep.
I'm not advocating for somebody to go and pop off on somebody. I'm just kind of questioning if there was really that kind of an issue.
Yeah,
you take it to them rather than take it to a store owner, because the store ain't did nothing to you.
Yeah, I mean, I saw a picture, and I mean, again, I'm not there, but I saw a picture of a lot of police protecting that house, like a lot.
Yeah,
a lot.
Yeah.
So perhaps
there was actually a certain time period where the police weren't there. Okay. And if I'm not mistaken, there were people, like, he was actually ordering food from.
Oh, they were stopping the delivery dudes from. Yeah,
and people were basically blocking that from being delivered.
Shit like that makes me smile. I like shit like that.
Yeah, it was crazy. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think this is probably for his protection, and you know, we'll see what happens.
I mean, I was talking to Khalil about this earlier, like, and then we talked about honor and we talked about integrity, but like, I swear to God, like, I think of myself as the Shaolin monk who was ousted from the temple. I mean, I got the tenets in my heart, but I don't behave in a way that necessarily might make my teacher happy about what the choices I'm making. Like, I'd feel like, let me just do the dirty work. I don't know. I sympathize so much with bullied people and oppressed people that it's hard for me not to muster a smile when it looks like we've at least scored some points. I mean, I'm not, again, I'm like you, I'm not advocating anything. I'm not suggesting anybody do anything, but I'd be lying if I didn't get a little smile in my heart when at least every once in a while we can get.
I mean, we got some bigger things on the table though.
Yeah.
And these are the things that really don't come up in the public forums and the media, is the fact that you only did that because somebody else did it and got away with it.
Right?
So at what point do you reorchestrate even the training?
Right. But you know what? And Anson has been the one that kind of articulated this thought in my head. Training can't be the problem when a Dylan Roof, for example, can drive miles and miles, premeditate the murder of 8-9 people. He's perfectly safe. He's apprehended without a scuffle. They bought him fucking Burger King. They bought him Burger King after a premeditated murder. He sat and prayed with these old people. He killed them, and he was hungry, and the police bought him Burger King. Like, it infuriates me to no end, and I promise you, I'd be the last guy that God ever gives like superpowers to, because shit like that, I'm petty, and I'm coming for that. You want some? I'll be the last guy.
As soon as you said the superpowers thing, because Joel and I had this conversation before, and I had this convo with my wife as well. If I ever find out that I have superpowers, I'm leaving her. And I told her straight up, because
what just happened to this child?
The reason the reason I would leave is because she needs to be protected,
safe. Right.
I can't have her accountable for what I was going to do.
Got you. It would be rough.
Man, we have a system that enables, man. We have a system that enables, and you know, when you keep enabling, man, you just establish comfort. So I got cut off. I was talking about stress inoculation, man. You got some officers, man. You know, not everybody is just a bad apple. That's
right.
Because they have an emotional agenda they want to do. I mean, I have people that want to kill somebody. That's why I joined the army. So I mean, you don't you can't just write that off. Like there are places and pockets in society for these people to thrive. So if you don't have a process where you're ruling these people out, or so psych exams, or whatever it is, even you stress test and you pressure test your techniques in the dojo, but what are you doing for your officers? Because your officers are panicking and they reaching for the hip. Right. Or your officers are abusing the power because they fear, whatever physical prowess or whatever intimidation they feel from somebody's skin color or gender or whatever. It's fear, man. Fear driving this stuff, man. And, I'm like, I can't change the world, man, but I know you got to change it at the top for it to trickle down, bro.
Yeah.
Nothing's gonna change down bottom with us, man.
I agree with that.
We gotta move in a safe manner, man. I got 3 black sons, man.
Yeah.
Come on, man. The pressure's been on since they came out the womb.
You
know what I mean? Like, I need to teach them this to move intelligently, to be able to speak intelligently. They should be able to be in a room full of mobsters, in a room full of police officers, and get along and say cheers with everybody.
Right. Be able to function. Yeah.
Man, we all human brothers, man. Like, I don't know, man. This isn't my topic because I get emotional about it, so I'm gonna fall back a little bit. But all I gotta say is things gotta change from the top, man.
Yeah.
And the reaction that people have, it's like, I understand what you're saying. John Target never did anything to you. Oh man, that dude I saw a picture earlier today. A dude came up on some Nerf guns. It's like, okay, so you mad about police brutality, so you're taking the opportunity to get 10 free Nerf guns from Target?
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? so it's so many pollutants in the water, man. It's like it's so murky, man.
I mean, I think even when it comes to things like looting, like I don't see myself personally, certainly at 44 years old. In my 20s, you can count. I don't know what. I don't know. I don't even.
You coming for that flash?
That was a different guy. I don't know. I can tell you what. It won't be Nerf guns. It is. I'm gonna see if I'm seeing him get this 65-inch TV.
Oh man.
But no, I mean, I sympathize with the emotional place that people are in when they're saying, you know what, if you feel like life doesn't ever give you a fair shake or no one that looks like you a fair shake, fuck it, I'm gonna get this off. Even if it's not important, it's not significant in the grand scheme. I understand the feeling of feeling like, you know what, I'm gonna at least get whatever little victory, if you can call it that, off. I get that. I understand that. I'm not risking my well-being. I've been a guest of the state of Maryland, and that's not going to happen no more. Certainly not for no fucking Nerf gun. I'm not. There will be no more orange jumpsuits in my life. I'm telling you that right now. There's nothing sexy about sharing 2 toilets with 149 other dudes. Trust and believe. So it won't be me, but I do get where people are coming from with some of that stuff. I understand. I mean, I'm not. Yeah. I'm always in the corner of the underdog for the most part. I like to see that come up. I like to see the victory, the dark horse. The person to come out of nowhere. And I mean, honestly, look. Sometimes in tournaments, I was feeling that way. I came from a small school. We weren't heralded. No one knew who I am. And a lot of times, I was going to these tournaments by myself. So just being like, seeing the favoritism and seeing some of the whatevers, and just being the Miyagi Dojo Bama coming in out of nowhere that no one knows, and getting to that place and just kind of taking the food out of people's mouths. I get a certain thing from that. I can't front. Like I like to see the little person get a victory sometimes, because we just get so used to the same rhetoric and the same storyline. It's what bores me about Superman, by the way. It bores me. It's true. I want to see somebody who's not so powerful win the day.
Right. I'll tell you one thing that needs to happen, though. I think, and across the board, these police officers, 2 things that need to happen with them.
Yeah.
Number 1, they need to be trained for far longer.
Yeah.
And with an emphasis on psychology and diversity.
Mm-hmm. And de-escalation as well.
De-escalate, yep. Yeah. Number 2, I would actually pay them more because I understand that they have a very difficult job. I mean, ultimately, to sit there and stay humble within yourself while someone's screaming in your face or disrespecting you, that's very difficult. I know I would pop off. I know I'd probably be one of those people that would just whoop somebody's ass. So I can empathize with them. as far as that's concerned. However, if they've been trained farther, longer, have more to lose, rather, then perhaps, because if you have a cop that's getting paid a good amount of money, they've been trained far longer than these cops are being trained now. There's almost like a professional level of who these cops would be. Yeah. As far as like on the level of like a doctor or something like that, they're not going to risk $100,000 salary. Yeah. $150,000 salary for something stupid like their own pride.
Yeah, I think for myself, I want more safeguards and repercussions. So like, if, for example, all the legal fees are taken out of the police pension fund, I think other officers are going to check the hot-headed ones like, look, you ain't fucking mine. I'm on some Danny Glover shit. I'm about to retire. God damn, you're not fucking my money up.
That's right. You give them some,
like this isn't exclusive to law.
Yeah, if you give them something to fear to lose, then like there's reason that they're not going to do that stupid shit. They're actually going to say, you know what? Let me actually treat everyone equally, instead of now potentially putting myself in a situation where I'm asked out and I can't provide for my families.
Right. I mean, the other thing too is I don't like that, and this isn't exclusive to just law enforcement. Anybody involved in the judicial system, politicians, you should be held to the higher extent of the law. You're supposed to be the example and what upholds the tenets of what keeps society together. So if they massage your sentences and you're supposed to be the example. You're supposed to be the example. That would be, I just can't see how, first of all, and I don't understand this situation where you're not in general population. That should be your future. If you get caught, doing whatever you're doing, you should go everywhere that we go. Why should there be some special jail for you? Nah, bro. And everybody there knows you're the police. I guarantee you're gonna think twice about doing what you're doing, planting guns and drugs and all that. You're not gonna listen.
Can you hear me?
Huh?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we do.
Let me pose a scenario. Yeah. Every police officer is required to get a black belt.
Oh, listen. Yeah. Please come to Maryland sparring. Come to the open sparring joints, please.
Can you imagine, imagine never being in a real fist fight where you actually concerned about being put to sleep.
Yeah.
There's a requirement that you have had to have been knocked out at least once in your life, and if not,
that's a good point.
Sergeant, talking about a different level of emotional discipline.
Yeah.
We are very biased, brother. We are very biased. You know what I mean? Like, it takes a lot, man. And you're also dealing with a force that's always been short-staffed, right? So when you're short on things, you mass produce things and you speed up the process, right?
Less quality.
Somebody's arm and you tell them to go fight for your country, boys. We're gonna give you, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of psychology to it, that we're biased of, you know what I'm saying? And even respect for human life, personally I feel as though once you have children, your respect for human life, it elevates immediately.
Oh, man.
You know what I mean?
Some people are like that.
If you're playing the role of a father, not a daddy, you know what I'm saying? It elevates you, man. And you disrespect anybody. But, I mean, it's something that we can tap into, as martial artists.
Yeah.
Take martial arts seriously. I'm not talking about people who go to a martial arts class. I'm talking about people who have fully submerge themselves in the martial arts lifestyle. I'm talking the philosophy, the hard training, the soft training. I'm talking about meditating, standing on the deck, your wife yelling at you like you're crazy, and you going to take the trash out with no shirt on, talking about you're going to catch a cold, you tell them, hey, I'm training. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I'm in it. It's funny you say that because there's certainly a difference between someone who attends martial art classes and someone who considers themselves a martial artist. That's a different human being.
It's not for us to draw that distinction though. And
I'm just saying, me myself.
What you said earlier, you said
You said something like life is a journey and martial arts is a journey.
Right.
You worried about what shoes you got on?
Right. You walking that path and you keep looking down at your Air Force.
So to me, every student is walking the path, but I'm saying there are people who make the conscious decision that this is something they're temporarily going to do for whatever reason or whatever void that's going to fill their life, but they're not interested in the lifestyle and the philosophy.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying that I think from certainly having done this like essentially my whole life. Like I made that choice a long time ago. I made it a long time ago, and like I most of the people that I know have made that same choice. Like that's who you are. You know what I mean? That's part of who you are. You're defining part of yourself.
Right.
I damn near haven't known not being that. Even the years that I was cutting up and not necessarily in classes. I mean, this is who I am. Like I said, a renegade monk. I mean, I'm still, you know, I don't know. It just that decision was made a long time ago. So, and I think. Okay, I talked to my buddy Damon about this. There was an email some years ago. This is really before the internet was like what it is now. There was an Instagram and all that kind of stuff. But he sent me this joint like, you know, you've been doing martial arts too long when, and this lengthy bullet point where you just laughing at yourself, like you get in the elevator and you like, you know, you finger strike the button, or you're just doing all of these extras. That I wish I still had that because it was just funny as shit. Because we're probably guilty of half of those damn things. Like it's just. Yep. It's just part of who you become. You know, you just behave that way. Like I was just telling my friend the other night, I'm a little bit paranoid in a healthy way, in a healthy dose of paranoia. Like you get into an elevator and you guys probably, I can make some assumptions because I know y'all to a degree, I can make some assumptions. But I get in the elevator and just like that scene with Captain America, and like I'm already kind of figuring like just in case y'all thought you were going to do it, I'm crazy enough to already be thinking about responding to just in case you do. Like I'm just crazy enough to have already been thinking. Nobody in this elevator is even thinking like this probably, but I'm crazy enough to be like, all right, well, I got to get big dude.
Just by the look on everyone's face.
It's like, you know what I mean? Like, yo, I just feel like it's
I know Joel has.
Right. Yeah, look. So I was like, it's going to surprise
me. Discussing it with each other about what we're going to do to so and so and comparing and contrasting. Like, all right, what would you do to him?
Right. But I always feel like it's going to be shocking how ready I am because I'm a little bit, I'm a little touched in that way. So like I would just love to see your face, how I'm so much more prepared for it than you think I am because I'm a little bit crazy. Like I'm thinking this for no reason. No one's provoked me. I don't even know anybody here. But just in case, I know who I'm probably going to get at first. It's you know, your body's positioned in a way, you know, you just in case. I got some leverage. I got some headroom.
You remember? Was it Jack Reacher? Was it Jack?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's for come on, let's do it.
Right, let's get this.
All right. Done. Who's gonna go first?
I love it.
Right. And then he took care of it. Right. Somebody got to run, right? He's just waiting for the dude to run. One always runs. You know what I'm saying?
I love it. And that little dose of paranoia is what that makes the difference. Like, you know, you don't want to be a completely crazy, unhinged person, but it's healthy to be a little paranoid. I think just a little.
I'm trying to remember. I was just reading the article, man. What is his name? Karate man. Before this is over, I'm gonna go to my article. I got a stack of articles over there on the printer. Pull it up. But he was saying that he was a karate champion, Caucasian brother. He was a karate champion for many years, and they were like, what is it about your training? They were trying to figure out, you know, psychologically, what is it that was separating him from the rest? And he said, when I walk down the street in public, I visualize that every person I pass is going to attack me.
Yeah.
And I visualize every angle that they're going to attack me from and how I'm going to respond to it.
Right.
Based on the trajectory of how I'm walking.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like he's compulsively always in that headspace. You know, even though he's a peaceful, nice guy.
Sure.
And that little bit of crazy, man, you gotta have that. I mean, we come from the same pool of population of the people that you see at the cosplay conventions, and they're like, we're all a little bit crazy. You know what I mean? Like,
think about it that we put these samurai outfits on. We
Yeah.
drive somewhere, right? And everybody said you know, one day I have a dojo in my house like you.
Oh shit.
We drive somewhere, you know what I mean?
I have no life
We
though.
go into the bathroom of some gymnasium somewhere, right? We bang each other to death on basketball courts. We banging each other, you know what I mean? Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
And then we put back on our regular outfits, right? Like good American citizens.
Right.
Ride back home and put it in the washing machine. Like this is crazy, man.
Yeah.
This is what we are, man. Man, Ninja Turtles, man, whatever you want to call it, man.
I'll tell you, it's a beautiful thing though, because always going to keep us on, on point, sharp, even looking in other directions as to, all right, well, this is one skill set that I can definitely hang my hat on. Mm-hmm. Is there another skill set that I may need to hang my hat on in case the world goes to a Walking Dead scenario? I don't know. Just the last 2 years, I started getting into firearms just in case, I mean, just because it was one of those things where before that wasn't a need.
Yeah.
I still don't think it's a need. It's nice to know how to do it though.
Yeah.
So, that's one skill set that I could at least say now I have some knowledge of. Yeah. Definitely not to the same level that of martial arts, but moving forward, you never know.
Yeah. That's ironic seeing the spear in the background.
It's a nice touch, man. That's my weapon.
It's crazy. You got a spear in the background. I got a katana in the back. And you got a fox in the back. And then, I don't know what you got back there, but it's something you can kill somebody with.
Look, with Joel, it's right next to him.
Right. You don't even see it.
Don't look away. I know what you got. You probably waiting to somebody walks in right now. They walk around the same. Here's the thing that's a trip. Joel and I used to live together.
Yeah.
And I'm about to throw you under the bus.
I'm trying to be the quiet guy here, man. Come on. There's a persona.
Man, look, you're quiet and unassuming. Just as quiet as you are when you're sneaking around the house in case somebody walks in the door and has to jingle their keys just to let you know, hey, Joel, I just came home. Don't hit me with the broadsword.
Yeah, I did that.
Crazy, man.
You gotta, it's like, come on, man.
Yeah, but I don't really think that's paranoia. I think that's just vigilance. I think that's just being on point. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't use Paul's. I wouldn't use Paul's description of that. I would just say, okay, you're aware of your surroundings. You're always doing a situational awareness thing.
Yeah.
You're not wrong with that.
But I think that's the curse of every martial artist, though. I mean, everyone that's real is going to be trying to test and trying to perfect their own art.
Right.
And turning off does not allow that to happen.
It's hard because once I think once it's become so much of a part of your life, it's just how you think now. It's just how you are. You know what I'm saying? Like it's hard to even not be that way. Yeah. And not in some, you're not that suspicious, but just in case, I'm a little more ready than you think I might be.
Well, I think there's also just in the back of all our minds, we all know that we train, and being snuffed and being taken out by some sucker punches are really not in our Rolodex to actually have happened to us.
Yeah, that would suck. I at least want to roll with that bad boy. Let's have some fun if we're gonna do this. You know how sometimes that first good shot you take, really now you're really switched on. You weren't really switched on until you taste that copper in your mouth, and now it's like, okay.
Oh yeah.
Now let's get down to the dirt. We've got past the other stuff,
But also, I think that what you just described is something only unique to certain like combat arts. Most people, when you start talking about tasting blood in your mouth, they're like, "Oh, what's wrong with you?"
I feel like I know for myself. Okay, again, same friend I was talking to the other night. For example, I enjoy nightmares. I enjoy having nightmares.
I'm going on mute for a second, man.
Nope.
But here's the thing, though. It's one of these things that beyond just liking horror and all that kind of stuff. I like that even my subconscious self is testing myself. You know what I'm saying? Because no one can create your most intimate fears but you, your own brain. You know what you don't like and what makes you uncomfortable. And yet I'm still in these scenarios, almost sitting back like, all right, well, Paul, what you going to do? How you going to behave? Who are you? You know? So it's a good thing to wake up even in a situation where you felt like that was peril. And then I can still be like, okay, well, you know, you're not even a bitch in your sleep. You're still good.
So,
We're still.
Let me just ask this question just for people like me and John.
Yeah.
Does any girl in your past have like a knot in the back of your head from you punching in your sleep?
Well, you know, I kind of sleep like a log. I'm a pretty when I'm out, I'm out. Like I shut this shit down. When I'm done.
No, I'm just saying. I mean, if you have nightmares, I mean, some people wake up swinging.
No, because I enjoy it. This is where I'm sick. I enjoy it. I have a thing. I like I wake up and it's like I like the feeling. It's the adrenaline. It's like look, okay, and I've said this about myself for a long time. Like I like stiff drinks, fast women. You know, I just like it. I want to feel it all. I just want to feel it.
Stop.
I'm just saying. Look, I'm 44 and my life isn't like that. But I'm just saying, like, me describing myself. This is kind of how I
told you cut it out, man.
Hey, look, look.
So,
hey, my student Waleed wants to know if you can see his comments.
Shit, I can't even see any. Oh, damn. Let me my cell phone's right here. Let me see what's going on.
Live YouTube joint.
So Joel basically threw me under the bus after I threw him under the bus.
Oh, see.
By talking about something that happened to me once in college, where I had some bugged out dream, and basically in the middle of that dream, I wound up swinging, waking up in mid swing, and the person I was dating caught in the back of the head by accident.
Okay. Now I can see it. I'm looking at the chat now. All right. Yeah, I wasn't even. Yeah, I'm just busy running my yaps. But all right. So I did have some at least loosely planned stuff, so I don't have to keep talking about fast women, right? So even though I know y'all, just in case somebody's actually watching this, right? You want to give me a brief thing about like what actually got you started in martial arts in the first place, and then maybe who influenced you to do that, or as you began, who do you think kind of influenced you to continue, or influenced your style, or your approach, or you know, and anybody can dig in on that. You know, there's no order for that stuff. So.
And this is the first pleasure that I think I really got to spend some time with Brother Joe. So.
Okay.
We're gonna go by the greatness of their beard, brother.
Oh, yeah, man.
Calling the seniors out.
I'm probably the oldest person there.
There we go.
But what got me into martial arts, the same thing got most people into is kung fu movies. And luckily, I have an adopted brother that was already in kung fu. So he started training me when I was really young. And it just stuck. It's just something that simple. You know, I wanted to grow up being a traditionalist or a kung fu martial artist. And that's the goal that I pursued majority of my life. I don't really have another purpose physically other than that. I'm kind of single-minded. And that's just a product of my upbringing and a product of my first teacher, because my brother was actually kind of hard on me. But it's just, you see these great things happen in movies. And we all know that, you know, cinema fighting is different than real fighting. We all know that, but that's not what a child thinks. And I try to keep that in my head, that love, that childlike love, that childlike awe. You know, like you see someone sparring and you know that they're on their point, and you go straight back to watching Kung Fu theater on Saturday and just like that guy's the baddest guy in the world.
Yeah.
He knows his stuff, you know. And it's just a love of it, a love of the movement of it. But that's probably the best way I would answer that.
What about you, John? John, are you older than me? You're older than me, right?
Nah, I'm probably the youngest. Yeah, actually.
Yeah, see, it's not.
1977.
Oh, God damn it! I am the next oldest. Shit.
But yeah, for me, it was a few things that drove me towards martial arts. One of which, obviously, would be the kung fu movies. You know, you grow up watching some of that stuff, and you know you love it. You know, it's beautiful to see. It's also beautiful to learn the philosophies behind it, and ultimately what you can do to to potentially protect yourself or to heal yourself. That's a beautiful element. There's also just the natural competitive nature for me, being an ex-athlete. So after college football, I basically, for a certain amount of time, I was stuck, not really doing much. And I always still had that competitive drive. So to me, it's like, all right, well, this can help challenge me to get to another level of myself. There's also the societal element, which is back then was kind of steeped in conspiracy theory, so to speak, where you never knew, and we were very unsure of the way society was moving when you're dealing with things like 9/11, and you're dealing with people that want to hurt you simply because you're Black. You're dealing with just people who want to hurt you simply because you're in the wrong neighborhood. Back in 2002, I moved into an apartment, and sure enough, that very day, somebody got shot in front of the building that I was in. And I'm sitting there kind of wondering to myself, like, all right, is this really, like, if that was me, if this person was running up on me, can I diffuse that situation either by talking to them or by diffusing it physically? Yeah. So there's that. There's also going further into the future as far as, well, what if society just fell apart?
Yeah.
What do you do now? Can you survive just by protecting yourself? Can you protect yourself? Can you protect those that you love? So these are certain questions that would swirl around in my head. And I figured, you know what? Since this is something where there's just too many benefits across the board to not be in martial arts, as far as I saw it, where it was one day, my sister and I, my sis Yvette, we wound up checking out a Ying Jiao Pai school out in New York City. Okay. And at that time I was living in Jersey. We both walk into the school, Master Shum. And sure enough, she wound up joining the school. I was going to join the school, instead wound up moving to Maryland, where I joined Jiao Ga instead. So from there, it was just, it just felt like home. This felt like what I needed to be doing. It felt like something that I could easily do because I'm used to working hard. I know that none of this is going to come easy. And ultimately, that's what kept propelling me to just get better and better.
Nice. All right, young sir. Young sir, yeah, hey, he's the baby of the bunch. He's the baby.
Oh, man. There's this term that you hear sometimes, and some people think it's bogus. It's up to you whether you believe it or not. You hear this term genetic memory.
Okay.
So the idea is that something was in your blood before through your DNA, and that gene, whatever DNA, however that works, it was sparked again in the offspring of the body. So, yeah, man, I don't ever remember doing anything that lit my blood on fire so easily with excitement in martial arts ever since. I have no memories, but I just don't. But my father, it's his fault. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's his fault. It's genetic memory, man. Like, I watch him move, even like when he goofs around, he's doing the dishes, and I pretend like I'm gonna hook punch him in the head or something like that, and he just dropped the dish and catch it with his foot, you know what I'm saying? And then he blocked the punch and kicked the dish back up in the head. Nah, I'm bullshit. Not that nice. But now, man, like, he started real young, he's like 6, 7 years old. I have no memories of this not being a part of my life. And like even this conversation, like we're not even training right now, but I feel like we training. Like I'm ready to kick the chair back and do some push-ups. Right.
Right.
It's funny. My sister's upstairs. She asked me. she a writer and she does a lot of public speaking and she's a teacher too. And she was like, so you getting ready to get on a call, a live call and talk about martial arts? Like, you need to get in the zone. Don't you need to, stretch out your shoulders and grab, a cup of tea or something? I was like, no. Like, did you understand? Like, I'm always in the zone. Because,
right.
It's not. Superman is not Clark Kent dressing up as Superman. It's Superman dressing up as Clark Kent.
Right.
Depends on how you look at it, man. So this is who we are. I blame my father, but Taekwondo first exposure. I had like a lot of kids, the spot closest to their house. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then as you grow, you keep doing it. Like you take it for granted that you even. There's so many kids that don't have anything to identify outside of the classroom and their peers in the classroom. That's why they spend so much energy exerting themselves on impressing each other. Who got the coolest shoes and the coolest girl, or who got the prettiest girlfriend, and who got the coolest video games, and like I never cared about any of that because I always had something to identify with outside of that. And a lot of people, they still don't understand. Like even people I know for like 30 years, you still doing that karate, right? I'm like, yeah, I snicker at that because I'm like, if you don't know by now, like after 22 years that I practice jiu-jitsu, then we're not really friends. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is yeah, man. It's so much more, man. So anyway, I don't want to hog the mic. It's my dad's fault. He started me young.
No, you good.
And I love and it wasn't just like kung fu movie. Like, yeah, we had kung fu movies or whatever, but there was a long time in my life where we didn't have a VCR. You had to catch it on channel 20 on Sunday.
Oh yeah. Oh, we
definitely.
Yeah, our old asses. There was no damn VCR. It wasn't a VCR.
No, there was Kung Fu Theater on Saturday morning, man.
Yep. Channel 5.
Or you'd have to get the other dial and go to channel like 54.
Yep. Man, I wasn't like, I didn't have a kung fu movie collection like that. I didn't have access to kung fu because as much as my dad loved it, he trained in Jiao too when he was in his 20s, and he was one of Jun Lee's first students actually.
Wow.
And he traveled to school back and forth, Pennsylvania and stuff. And he said every time he came back, all due respect, Master Jun Lee, rest in peace, but every time he came back, the class was a little bit different. So he saw it being massaged into something that you could feed the masses. You know what I'm saying? So he kind of scaled back, and he was my first trainer even before Taekwondo. So
real quick, while he said he can barely hear you, is there anybody turn your mic up a little bit?
All right, can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you, but I don't know what it's.
I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do, man. I'm gonna man, turn your volume up, man.
Also, he said he wanted to know everyone's school and style of martial arts.
He knows mine. I gave him the green belt. Yeah. I ain't answering that. Yeah, man. Sanuka School Jiu-Jitsu, man. Dr. Moses Powell, third generation. If you count Dr. Moses Powell as the first generation, I guess he can't really be his own generation, but Dr. Moses Powell, Professor Daryl King, also known as World King, also known as Hanshi King, Grandmaster King, and then myself, trying to hold the flag, man. Sanuka School Jiu-Jitsu, man. We be blessed with that, but we respect martial artists because we just love this. But you gotta have a base in the home, and that's the tree that we draw from, and everything else is just a branch off of that.
One of y'all fellas wanna chime in just on school and style, just for the sake of it?
If you're going in that direction, I have to default to John. He's actually my elder in the school.
Okay.
Yep. So Joel and I are both from the Jiaoga Kung Fu Athletic Association of Columbia, Maryland. Our Sifu is Derek Johnson, also known as Chung Tai Lik. He is he's been pretty much one of the premier leaders and promoters of Jalga in this country. Learned from he was Chan Man Chun's, the late great Chan Man Chun's godson, and basically, if I'm not mistaken, Joel, we are the 6th generation of Jalga from the founders. Founders being Jiao Long, then the 5 Tigers as a whole, to Jiao Bill. We had, let's see, there was Dean Chin.
Toney Choi, Dean Chin.
Toney Choi.
Yeah. Then went to RC Fo.
Derek RC, and then us. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I started in '84 with Hills Hitters. I know Ron Hill started our program. It's non-traditional tank judo. Ron Hill started the program. My teacher, Phil Hill, took over the program from Ron. It's weird, like this is where I end up feeling really old because I came in right at the transition from their twin brothers. Well, not twin brothers. They're Irish twins. They're literally like 9 months, 10 months apart. My teacher took over, and during that transition, I came basically right after Phil came, pretty much. But yo, we could rattle on forever. So I mean, if any of y'all don't let me hold you, you know what I'm saying? But because I have a mouth, and I haven't even had a beverage or anything. I can still, I'm already just talking. So I mean, at any time, believe, I don't want to.
That's all good, man. We're here.
I can do this forever. So let me at least get like 1 or 2 more of these. And like I said, I don't want to commandeer y'all's evening because I have no life and I'm not going anywhere. So I have nothing. This is the highlight of my whole weekend. Damn near. Matter of fact, we are going to do a boxing chat tomorrow too. So I guess now I have a loaded week. This is the biggest thing I got going. So I'm enjoying myself. But just bear with. Let me get 2 more. I'm gonna get 2 more. All right. So next, real quick. What is the difference? And I think Joel, I think we talked about this online within the last year, I think. But what's the difference between a fighter and a martial artist? What's the difference between a fighter and a martial artist? So let me see. I mean, anybody's got a particular itch, just jump in and we'll all take it from there.
But that's a lot, man. That's a loaded question, man.
I mean, hey, look, I tell you, I like to talk. I got nothing going, so we can.
I just got finished talking, man. Joe got to talk now.
Okay, yeah, boom.
Man. I want to hear everyone else's opinion about that. I know most of these cats. I want to hear yours on that.
Joel and I already know what the other to say.
Yeah.
But
yeah, go ahead, John.
All right. Anyone could be a fighter.
Yeah.
All you gotta do is get into a fight.
That's
now you're a fighter.
Yeah.
I think fighter in terms of a reference point when you're talking about a specific individual is something that's earned by way of experience.
Okay.
Because fighter is almost like the implication is that you continue. It's a craft. Mm-hmm. There's a craft of fighting. I fought in a war. You know what I mean? Like you're home to talk about it because you fought your way through it. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a survival undertone to fighting. There's a by any means necessary undertone to fighting. You know what I mean? You have people, you have women that died on an operating table when the doctor come out and say she was a fighter. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
There's a lot to that.
Yeah.
There's a lot to that, man. I'm gonna give it back to you, John, but martial artists, we adopt and we heed to one form of codes or another. I don't know about you, but even in a street fight, I used to fight a lot. I had to leave high school because I enjoyed the contact. I enjoyed the danger and the risk and the thrill, and it got me in too many. It was too much, so I had to leave high school at 9th grade. But it was like, even during those fights, I don't know about you, but I never punched anybody in the groin. I never kicked anybody in the groin. And it was
in
like,
the throat.
huh?
What'd you say?
Okay.
Hold on.
I said I never kicked or punched anybody in the groin, right?
Oh, yeah, I'm terrible. I'll do all that shit.
Yeah. You see, that was the thing, because I had already psychologically adopted one form of Budo code or another, even at that young age.
Gotcha.
Because there's a cultivation that happens with martial artists, and I attribute fighters to survivors, and now I'm 22 years in the survival arts, so you know, I'm constantly training in a system of that duality, you know, where, you know, I know what I'll do to protect my sons. I can't even say it on the air.
Right,
you know,
right.
I know what I'll do to protect my mother and father. You know what I'm saying? So that's that psychology of you know, when you fight somebody who submerges themselves in Sanuka flu jiu-jitsu, you have to overcome his willpower, because that is his strongest weapon. Not his push-ups, not his bicep, not his fingernail, his conviction to tear your entire body in half. You have to have conviction higher than that. And I quoted this to my students. There's an old Muslim narrative about a general who was in a village, and there was fighters among his squadron, and one of them was massive. He was huge, you know. He had charge, you know. He was like a Sagat, you know what I mean? He was like a Sagat of that, street fighter all day. But and he came to the general, and he was like, "Why are you the general and not me, when I'm stronger and more powerful?" And he said, "Put your fingers in my mouth, and I'll put my fingers in yours, and bite down, and let's see what happens." And then they, you know, so they both started biting each other's fingers, right, simultaneously. They just there playing that game of chicken. And then, you know, the big soldier, you know, with all the muscles said, enough, right? And the general says, "That's why I'm the general and you're the soldier. Because if you would have held out just 1 second longer, you would have won." But in that story, what he's really saying is, no matter how long we stayed here, you still would have hold out. You still would have had to hold out for 1 second longer. We could have been there an hour, and he would have got that same answer. You know what I'm saying? That's this, bro. That's this and this.
Yeah.
Like, you don't get that from push-ups. You know what I mean? You get that from training.
Absolutely.
Like, yeah.
All right. I'm going on mute, man. Y'all getting me hyped, man.
As far as I'm concerned, you just flat out said a lot in regard to why we do what we do.
Yeah.
You know, like, we have the mindset that I already know if Paul get into a fight and it's a fight for real, where it's just like, you know what, one of us is going in that ambulance and one of us is going home. Paul's going home.
Listen, my teacher said, you
that
fight
person
me
in that ambulance, you know
what I mean? The world say, you fight me in the kitchen, it's going to be pot and pan jitsu. You fight me in the living room, it's going to be TV screen jitsu.
Right. No.
You know what I mean?
Like, that's it, you know? And this is one of those things where ultimately, and this is why I love having a training partner like Joel, because ultimately we could be in a closet and go ham and throw every technique we know. And ultimately we'll be toe to toe. Why? Because we both have that same conviction. This is why everyone was scared to spar you at the school, Joel, except me. because we both have that conviction of, I ain't going nowhere.
Right.
You're gonna have to knock me out. We both saying that. And when you both get to that place where it's just like, you just like me, let's train together. Next thing you know, we best friends. You know what I mean? I mean, this is the type of thing where this is what I'm talking about. Steel sharpens steel.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though, right? Like, fighter and martial artists are not mutually exclusive, man.
Right. I mean,
you know what I mean? Like, when you get that best of both worlds, even in your physical development, your mental development. Like, if you're not taking cold showers from time to time, trying to control your breathing underneath that cold water, what are you doing? You know? If you gotta always put the AC on when you in the car, You always need a mat to do punches. You always need a mat to do push-ups. You can't do knuckle push-ups.
Asphalt's right there.
Yeah.
You know? Knuckle, fingertip, whatever. I mean, back of the hand, all that. Like it's about training yourself to go beyond what you're comfortable with. Because ultimately, comfort's not always going to be there. You know, this is what I'm saying. Where it's like, if this world blows up right now, and now we have to go back to the elements.
It's getting close.
Who's going to survive? I already know 4 people that will.
I'm in IT, right?
Right.
IT. I got a job in IT. Great. But with the way things is going right now, we don't know how bad it's going to get. 6 million people losing their jobs in 3 months. Like, we don't know how bad it's going to get. Like, the toxicity that's in the air right now is why things are so crazy with this police incident. Because people got shot a couple of months back. A couple of months before COVID, and everybody went on about their business. You know what I'm saying? So you're bringing people, you're putting people in this pressure cooker. You know what I mean? And we know that, you know, if everything collapsed, it's Lord of the Flies. You know, all you need is carpenters, engineers, doctors, right? What else? Farmers. Yeah, I'm struggling to think of anything else.
You're gonna need some warriors because people are crazy.
Some fighters. And some fighters. Like what?
That's right.
You know what I mean? The IT is cool. I'm grateful for having a job, man. But
a couple of bankers and lawyers, though.
Maybe if there's still currency. You know?
Hey, throw them on the fire.
Okay, but Joe.
What do you think?
I'm a bit different on the survivor view. Probably because of my military training and who trained me. To me, whenever I hear survival, I have the same phrase go through my head, and that's a place that you're at because you've made so many bad decisions. You ain't got a choice. It's a no-win scenario. So a survival scenario, that's I like the phrase you said before, the Lord of the Flies kind of zone. That's more like that. Fighter and martial artist. Fighter is more about competition. You know, it's more about, okay, I'm bigger than you, I'm better than you, I'm meaner than you, and I'm going to prove it to you. A martial artist has that same gall, but more refinement. They have the same spirit, but they've taken time to hone it. It's like this difference between having a dull sword and a sharp one. You know, there's time and effort and purpose and intent and focus to try to get the skill to be exactly what is necessary to do and nothing else. You know, that's the art in it. You know, a fighter is just going to fight. And he's going to fight his heart out. He's going to fight with everything he got. When you have a person with supreme skill and that drive, you're going to lose. And you're going to lose every time, no matter how big your heart is. It's just, you can't overcompensate that. He's that refined. He's that skilled. He's that well-trained. He's that prepared. You know?
That's the Hallmark card right there, baby.
So, and that's, I think that's where you...
Baseball bat, right? What do you call it? Lucille or whatever?
Yeah, but that's the thing that you do. I mean, I don't know any martial artist that's worth their weight in skill. You pull out a baseball bat, he's probably going to laugh at you. Right? You pull out a chain, he's going to laugh at you. Even if a knife comes out, he's going to make that change. Like, I'm going to get cut, but he's still going to laugh at you. Because he knows, he's going to the hospital, but you're going to be in a worse case than he is. So that's a very, very real, very, very tangible difference. Where you look at some fighters, like most street fighters, were tigers passing in the forest. I know you can beat my butt. I know you can beat your butt, so I'm not going to mess with you too much. But if that fighter senses that you are not that bad, well, that's where martial artists come in, because we don't really advertise how bad we are.
we don't really sit there and say, okay, look at me, like I got my gi on, or I got my belt on, or I got my frog button shirt on. Most true martial artists, you can't tell.
Yeah.
You know, you really can't tell until after he hits you. And you know that there's something else on there there's not a packaging for that. You can't sell that in the store. That's something that you gotta get over time and sweat and your own blood and your own sacrifices, and sometimes a crap load more than could be talked about on this video. You know, but it's a lifetime of sacrifice. It's a lifetime of commitment. It's a lifetime of sometimes prioritizing the art over everything else in life. You know, and it's a weird thing. So it's a conundrum in itself. So that's my viewpoint.
What you think, John?
That's beautiful,
man. Spot on with that, because ultimately, when you're looking at the fight, you can fight in multiple arenas. So, you know, just even the idea of being on an operating table and you're fighting for your life, you know, that's a fight in itself.
Right.
So when you look at a martial artist, though, you are basically looking at somebody that not only will fight on a level of getting their body on point, getting their skill on point, but they're also going to get their mind on point. They'll also have enough humility to know that they can always learn. And with that, they're open to all learning opportunities. At the same time, they can teach, which is a beautiful thing about martial artists. And just even within, for example, the terms Sihing, CJ, Sidai, Seymour, Sifu. Every last one of those terms, whether it's the older student, the younger student, male, female, the teacher, all of them have that C in front of it, which means to teach. So I can learn from my younger brother. He can learn from me. I can learn from my older brother. He can learn from me. Older sister. Everyone can learn from one another. So you know, when you're looking at that, there's that that there should be that humble spirit there. And ultimately, it's the idea that everyone's experience can give you more to your experience, can add to your experience. This is why, you know, crossing hands, dancing, you know, sparring with one another is such a beneficial part of martial arts. And if you're not getting it enough at your school, you actually miss out, because although I understand that a lot of people these days are afraid of getting hurt, then you're also afraid of learning. Because most of my learning came from getting hurt. You know, I'm over here sparring against somebody, kick them, and next thing you know, my big toenail pops off. Okay, I learned not to do that again.
You know what's so funny though, John?
The cost.
We all have a personal choice as to how much we're like. There's so many components to what we do. Like we all have different personalities and different spirits and different energies. Like, you know, there can be a great martial artist with a terrible attitude. You know what I'm saying? There can be a great fighter who has terrible martial arts skills, but he comes out on top all the time. You know, the way we look at martial arts skills, and even the term itself, martial arts, is even it's an oxymoron in itself, because martial is implied with, right? I mean, Joel will tell you, right? And then arts implies this paintbrush. You know what I'm saying? Of this beauty that was just being created through movement, expression, or whatever. So, I mean, I believe that we like to identify ourselves with the totality of what we understand martial arts to be, which affects us through all these different components because we accept them. Yeah. But, you know, I go back to Paul and the Kung Fu movies, man. I got some favorites, man. Three Evil Masters. You know what I mean, bro? Like, listen, man. outside, like I'll start sounding like I'm naming, you know, a menu at a restaurant if I go down on my favorite. You know, man, like Shaolin Avengers, man.
No doubt.
Like, man, eight diagram. We could talk about 30.
Mystery of chess boxing.
Come on, man.
I mean, five Deadly Venoms, though. That was like my.
Man. I mean, those face shout out, you know. Like, but here's the thing, though, right? With those, there was even characters in those that they just had to be killed because they were just like they were just parasites in society. But they was real good martial artists, right?
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? Like I remember the John Liu flick. He walked up to the top of the hill, and they both did their little intro before they fought. You know, it's funny because like I can't imagine walking up to a dude in front of McDonald's and like cracking my knuckles and like you know, like doing what Chuck Norris and Bruce Lee did in the Coliseum. You know what I mean? They got a chance to flex, stretch out. You know what I mean? Like you could do that in front of Ben's Chili Bowl. You know what I mean? Like I can't imagine that. You know what I mean? But it's so crazy. John walked to the top of the hill and he did boom, boom, boom. Then he kicked leaf off the tree, and he goes, my kung fu improves every hour. Soon I'll be invincible. I'm in this joint laughing like every hour.
Every hour.
Every hour, really? You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta go, man. Somebody gotta take you out, man. You a hell of a martial artist, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so much to it, man. Guys, man, I am gonna be back, man. This was fun, man.
Absolutely, brother.
I know my wife be jealous when I be having conversations that I enjoy this much, man.
I wait for mine to go to sleep, so I'm kind of free for that time period.
But I'm gonna get out of here and go hang out with the family, man.
Bet.
So, John, Paul, man, I'll be
back. Absolutely. Yeah, we're gonna do it again soon.
I have my father on here, man, because man, his history with the Calgary system, man.
That'll be dope.
Beautiful, you know. I mean, we do Tai Chi together, so he still practices, but
okay.
You know, I mean, he's older now. He's almost 70 years old.
You know? Yeah.
But actually, damn, he's past 70 years old. But anyway, man, you gotta have him on the show, man, please.
Yeah, yo, absolutely. Like I want to do this regularly because, like I said, there's not a lot of vehicles that I know, platforms that I know that specifically Black men that are martial artists get to exchange their thoughts and control the narrative about ourselves. You know what I mean? Contribute the narrative to ourselves. And it doesn't necessarily, this is going to be just, you know, this is just the Black martial art chick, but I'm saying that I think that's
it's a step in the right direction.
It's important. It's important.
I mean, what you said earlier, man, you on the journey, man. Stop standing.
I mean,
sneakers, man. You know, you just getting started, man.
I do a lot of outside of my mouth thinking. As I process, I share the same shit as it's processed.
So, y'all process together.
Yeah.
Together's company, man.
Absolutely, brother. Yeah, I'll get up with you super soon, brother. We're gonna do this again soon, man. Thank you so much for your time, brother. I appreciate you.
Peace.
All right, thank you, brother. All right, cool. So listen, if y'all aren't in too much of a rush, I mean, I got a few more minutes in my system, unless you guys are, you know.
Well, I knew you had another question, didn't you?
Yeah, I actually have a few more, but I didn't.
Let's run through it.
Okay, I didn't want to commandeer everybody's evening because again, I have nothing to do. I'm not doing a blessed thing. This is what it is. Okay, here's one, and this is cool because one of the reasons I really love talking to Kung Fu practitioners and then you guys specifically is because I feel like when lineages are more intact, there's a chance for culture to be a thing. Where I came from a school that is non-traditional, so we had to create our own culture. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like we're necessarily directly tied, or certainly I'm not aware of the direct ties. You know, I think my teacher and his brother had a few different training sources. You know what I'm saying? So like we're not directly, the Tang Sudo Federation will not recognize what we do as Tang Sudo. I'm pretty sure they won't, which is fine because I mean, I feel a little ornery with it when I think about those kind of things. Like, look, y'all can bring what you're doing. Some of those big blocks, you're going to learn some things about those big blocks and this American stuff that we got going on. But anyway, I don't want to sound like a jerk. But anyway, it leads me into this question. So we've all talked to plenty of martial artists from within our style and then outwards. what's something that you love about the martial arts community, and then something you either hate or strongly dislike about the martial arts community as a whole? So that way it doesn't just necessarily have to be confined to our styles or our schools, but just the martial arts community. What's something that you really love, and then something that you maybe hate is too strong of a word, but something you strongly dislike?
I think the worst thing, if I may, the thing that I guess gets underneath my skin the most are people who compare styles. That's probably number one on my list for things that irk me, because they really do take away from the individual and the passion that individual brings to the art.
Right.
You know, the art lives through that passion, through that commitment. And when people discount that, trying to look for some kind of, quarter bullet technique or some kind of, magic jujitsu, with just whatever they actually think that's going to help them shortcut the process.
And there's no,
I take that more of as an insult.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to shortcut the process. Yeah.
Touching on that specifically, because I don't want to let my old ass mind forget. I was talking to Khalil on the phone earlier today, trying to see if he could work this in. And we were talking about the style versus style conversation. And I was like, it's such a futile exercise, because the only way you'd even become close to being able to try to ascertain that, I'd have to take a clone of Joel, an exact clone, feed it the same thing, virtually the same experiences, except you're going to go to the judo school and you're going to go to Jiao. And even then, I can't, because you're not living in the same time and skin and experience. How can I really? You can't find that out. It's not. It's the individual, and you can't find that out. It's a pursuit it's fruitless. What does it even do if you found it out? What does that even do for you? Because now we've had one. I'd have to have an exact clone of, and then have them in every style ever to even find something even close to that information. It
doesn't make.
I feel like it's a lot of dick measuring when it comes.
It's completely that, and basically it's all ego, because ultimately, if you really just care, like, I get it that you want to be the best. Be the best you. I'm the best John Wellington ever.
Right.
Be that. Like, why are you? Who cares about the next person?
It's
because ultimately, I'm gonna tell you like this: if I got into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, maybe I'd be good, maybe I'd be trash. I don't know, but I got into what fit me,
right.
And from here, it's all about my training,
right?
Yeah.
And the only person that I have to go head up against is me.
Right.
It's not even my training brother, because he's just helping me to get to a better level of me.
Right.
He's just providing the mirror. That's all he's doing.
That's
and I find that people who want to do that dick comparison want to avoid the mirror.
But
I mean, martial arts is a deep dive into who you are as a person.
Right.
And when a person commits to that path, you're committing to almost a kind of destruction of yourself, and a reconstitution of that. You cannot go to the martial arts path and think that you're going to go in and come out the same person.
Right.
Most people who try to do that are what we all call subpar martial artists. They somehow missed the mark somewhere along the line, where self-development wasn't actually drilled into their head as being a part of the process.
Right.
But I think that's people who are trying to, again, shortcut the path. They're trying to maintain their ego, try to maintain whatever pride that they have from being substandard.
Yeah, I really like what you said about avoiding the mirror, because how could you be concentrating on me so much and still be working on yourself? You know what I'm saying? Like, I really like that point, because there is no other enemy greater than you. You're the guy. You're the guy. You're the only common factor in every aspect of your training or fighting or sparring. You're the only common vein. Everything else is different. So I absolutely. It's just I'm kind of a Bruce Lee acolyte. That's the only reason I even got involved. And it's funny, I actually wanted to touch on this before Khalil got off, just in talking about Kung Fu flicks, because and I think I've talked to you in one of our conversations at the house, Joel. A lot of my tenets have informally or unbeknownst to me, because I wasn't even doing martial arts at that time, have come from Chinese Kung Fu. Because everything I'm looking at, everything I'm associating with martial arts, from you disrespected my teacher in my school, like all of those things, I'm a little kid absorbing that. Like, I'll smash you if you did. There again, I'm a slightly demented person in a healthy way. I mean, not whatever, but like I'm one of those people that were consistently ready for some weirdo to walk in here and act like they're going to disrespect my teacher. I'll be the first one there. There's no way you're going to even get near him. You got to fuck with me first. It's just going to have to be the way that is. And a lot of those tenets were derived, I think, from. I talked about younger martial artists in a joking way, but I still think there's some truth to it. A lot of y'all's problem is you didn't grow up on Kung Fu flicks. That's your problem. That's your problem. That's what's wrong with you. I mean, and I say wrong, but that sounds heavy or indicting, but like in terms of how you view what we're doing, where is the honor? We were talking about, me and John were talking about honor when he first came on. Where is the integrity? Where are the standards of why you're doing what you're doing beyond the fighting component? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like
we talk about combat, we talk about fighting, we talk about matching hands, touching gloves, how you want to dance around that. But martial arts is bigger than that. Yeah. That's how we express our discipline. And a lot of people get that confused. Yeah. Our discipline is expressed in that way. Not that's just showcasing maybe about 2% of who we are. Just judging off that, you're falling for the whole kung fu. Was made to actually fool people into believing that they were just dancing. Yeah. They're just made into something entertaining to fool the masses so that they didn't pick up on their techniques. You fell for all that because you didn't want to go and commit to that. So any kind of mindset that kind of goes down that road of non-committal, that's the burn my saddle. I think a close second are people who pose at it. People who wear the frog button shirts, who think that by doing everything aesthetically, that they somehow have drained the whole enchilada of actually kung fu. People who think that they actually got the full Monty just because they have the ego the size enough to hold it. That's another thing that kind of irks me.
Yeah. So what about you, John? What do you think? What's something that you love about the martial arts community? That's something that you don't particularly care about?
As far as the martial arts community, I'll start with one thing I can't stand, and that's the MMA versus traditional Chinese martial traditional art.
All of those comments.
That's all trash. Ultimately, the whole idea of MMA versus you like. There's a few things to keep in mind. Traditional martial arts usually mix. So in a lot of ways, everything's MMA.
Right.
I mean, you take Jiao Ga. Jiao Ga is a mixture of like 3 different styles on paper.
Yeah.
I mean, they tell you that when you. Yeah, they tell you that when you come in. Hung Ga, Choi Ga, Northern Shaolin. Okay. Yeah. So you're saying that's not mixed?
Yeah. Well, I don't want to cut you because that both of those are good because those both get on my nerves. Both of those things are things that I would have.
Absolutely, and just the idea of the whole we have to pit one versus the other. Traditional martial arts don't work. No, it's not about traditional martial arts not working. It's about the fighters who you're fighting suck, or they're just not good enough, or they just can't beat that specific person that was fighting them. Yeah. Like there's many different places this can go because a lot of those fighters who are MMA fighters have studied some traditional martial art.
A lot of them.
And became very proficient at it. If I'm not mistaken, isn't Kung Lee a traditional martial artist? And he was an MMA champion.
He signed out.
It's one of my favorites. I love
so like this you can't say that these arts don't work. And even if they don't work in a sports arena, which UFC is,
right?
Okay. I'm sure they can work against an average person.
And that's with the,
you know,
the other thing is it because both of these things are like branches on the same tree in terms of just ego and dick measuring.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
It's this need to pit a thing against a thing, which is just, it's like a tribalistic kind of mindset that I think really at the root of a lot of humanity's problems, it's that same kind of thinking, that there has to be an opponent in order for your own existence to be validated. You have to have something to go against. And I mean, it's weird because we're talking about martial arts, but again, something we've kind of all touched on is that the battle is inside here. It's here and here. It's not really out there, you know. Other people just allow you to get to a higher plane within yourself, who you are. They facilitate that growth within yourself. But I get annoyed with the. It's just in case anybody's watching who's a big MMA player. Like, I'm not shitting on MMA, but the thing to me, all right, since we're talking about the community, I'm gonna kind of go further with that because that just actually chimed some stuff in my head. I don't like looking at MMA and then I don't see the second M. I don't see a lot of the second M and the A. I see a lot of mixed. I don't see a lot of martial arts. Like I don't like. I'm not saying that you have to have beautiful kicks, but that shit looks like you've been throwing kicks for like a year. A lot of those guys look like they've been throwing kicks for a fucking year. It's ugly. Your hips are tight. It just looks gross. To me, it looks like a lot of guys. And again, there are some excellent mixed martial artists. So it's not a blanket statement. But by and large, it looks like a lot of guys who had a lot of collegiate and high school wrestling backgrounds. They did a little bit of Muay Thai, and we're going to shoot up with whatever PEDs Dana lets us do, and then we're just going to go beat the snot out of each other. And that part I don't like. I don't like crudeness. I don't like sloppy, loaded up shots where it's just, now this kind of goes back to our fighter versus martial artist question, where you look much more like a fighter than a martial artist.
Yeah, I like a slugger.
I like the fusion of the two things, because you can be a martial artist. I know a lot of martial artists that don't do any fighting at all, and I'm not going to take away from them and say they're not martial artists. Like, I feel like different people are attracted to martial arts for different reasons, and some people just want to do forms or want to do lion dancing or whatever. Okay, I mean, it's not my bag. Like, I would get bored to death if it was just doing forms. I would die. I would curl up and die. There's no way. I wouldn't have made it to black belt if that's all it was. I wouldn't. Like, everyone I looked at was like Bruce. Bruce is trying to save his uncle's restaurant. They keep shaking him down and trying to take money and making passes at his niece or whatever, his sister. And he has something to fight for. Or I'm coming to this school. Like, I love Jet Li's rendition, an ode to Bruce, where he goes to the school and shit like that. I fucking absolutely, I just adore the skill and the value and there's meaning to it. And I think, without going too far off on a tangent, that's the stuff that I don't like. I don't like forcing the issue. I think you have to take the time and develop things. There's no way around it. There's no way around it. Like Joel, you were saying, like shortcuts. There's no way around the repetition of doing a thing again and again and again and again. And after you think you've done it enough, now you're like fucking not even halfway through. Keep doing it again. I teach little kids and like, I already know the round kick. No. You know of the round kick. You have heard of it. You don't know. You don't know it. I still work on it. How am I 44? Been doing this since 84, and I'm still working on it, but you know it. It's just crazy. It's kind of a laughable thing.
I'm completely with that altogether, because ultimately, it's a matter where, and keep in mind, I see this in more than just what do you call it? I see this with more than just MMA fighters. I see this with traditional fighters as well, or MMA martial artists and traditional martial artists as well, or supposedly, maybe they just go to the school or whatever. There's a lot of searching for the shortcut. Training is extremely important. And the reason why I think a lot of MMA practitioners can get away with what they're doing, even though they're not getting to a higher proficiency with some of the techniques that they're doing or whatever, or maybe they're taking a year of one class or one school or whatever, is because instead of just taking that year in like a very lackadaisical approach, they actually train it. They train it, and they have a single-mindedness behind their training. Okay. Unfortunately, I've seen with some traditional schools that there's not that same level of a training regimen. Right. So once you, however, you get a traditional school to take on that type of training, now we have completely different. It's because they might be working on that single punch over and over and over. But if that one punch hits somebody because of the way they were training, game over.
It's you know what? I'm sorry, because you guys keep giving me good. I'm like, I need to write shit down so I make sure I don't forget these things. This is you're springing other thoughts into my brain as you guys are talking. This is why I wanted to do this so badly.
Well, this is something else that I think is important to take a look at. I'm going to try and bring it closer in.
I see
Bloom's taxonomy.
Okay.
And you could probably Google this. Just type in BLOOM ' taxonomy.
I'm going to write it down.
It's kind of blurry, but just go over that, John, because it's kind of blurry.
Bloom's taxonomy is basically a methodology to learning. And a lot of people, when they're taking on Bloom's taxonomy, or when they're learning rather, they learn at a very surface level. Okay. They don't learn at a deeper level. And part of that surface level, when you're looking at it, it's about they just have knowledge.
Okay.
I know something. I know of something. But there's levels beyond knowing something. I might read through a book and I know that book, but that doesn't mean I have comprehension of that book.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean I can apply anything from that book. That doesn't mean I can analyze anything from that book or synthesize anything from that book. And it damn sure doesn't mean I have an evaluation of that book, because these are levels to which you can actually learn something. I mean, we've heard before in hip hop and in some certain philosophies about knowledge, wisdom, understanding. Shout out to the 5%ers out there. Knowledge is the first level. Just knowing something is the first level. After knowing something, you do it enough times, you have a certain amount of wisdom behind the knowledge that you know. After you've gone through even dealing with that wisdom for a certain amount of time, based off of that knowledge that you know, you come to an understanding of how the world works with that. This is what martial arts is about. It's not about just, okay, I learn a form and that's that. No, you have to learn that. You have to know that form. You have to get to repeat it enough times that you have a certain wisdom behind it, and then take it to the next level where there's a certain understanding of how it can be used and how you can use it. Then perhaps taking it to a place where you can synthesize it, a place where you can actually start to take certain pieces from one section and combine it with another section and see if that can actually help you in a better scenario. This is what I'm talking about as far as a lot of people don't have that. They just kind of, okay, I know it. I know a technique.
Right.
You don't really know a technique until you can take it further up those levels, higher levels of Bloom's taxonomy. That's something that I try to use not only in martial arts, but other areas of my life as well, professionally. If I just have a knowledge of something, I try to repeat it enough times until I no longer just have a knowledge of it, but I have higher levels of understanding with that.
Right. I love the way that was put, especially with those 3 tiers, because it's about spending time with a thing. Like, I can introduce you to a jab and probably teach you a basic jab that you would do pretty well in a short period of time. But like, you don't have any context for the amount of experiences. Like in my head, I can think of all of the different situations and when what did and did not work, or how you tweaked a thing based upon an experience. I mean, it just takes the time spending with that thing. I used to talk to my students about, it's almost like dating, and you'll fall in love with a technique or a given thing for a while. And not that you fall out of love, but maybe it's an amicable breakup because you're starting to kind of see this other thing. And now I want to kind of, I'm loving my left hook right now. And now I want to really do that. And you spend time with it. You move in with it. You guys share a room and you get into your, it's like a relationship. That's understanding. I mean, because you have to have the experience, as you alluded to, with getting to the wisdom part. And through that, you have that understanding. You've spent time in a marriage with a thing. How are you going to go? It used to be crazy to me how the Ultimate Fighter, the show, where people are contestants, and 3-4 years later, they're the coaches on the show. So like when people used to talk about, and again, this is another conversation that I hate. Oh, MMA versus boxing. They just annoy me because things can just be themselves. They can just be what they are. Do we really have to talk about whether the taco or the fajita is better? I fucking like them both. They're delicious. Let's just let it be what it is. You know what I mean? Like we're gonna just not eat tacos because we're such a fajita guy. It just makes no sense. It's crazy. But like, it's, you can have an affinity for a thing, but you got to spend time with a thing. And I guess that's ultimately what I'm getting at in using that comparison with the quick turnover from the contestants to the coaches. One of the things that I like about boxing is that your professional career, you spend a lot more time nurturing a fighter and getting them to a place. They're fighting 4-rounders. You're fighting 8-rounders, then 10, then 12. You get brought up in a way that you can have a Bernard Hopkins and you can have a Floyd Mayweather. You can get these professors that have accumulated knowledge over 20, 30 year span, not 6 or 7. And I'm not denigrating a 6 or 7 year practitioner, but there's a difference between a guy who's done it 30 years and a guy who's done it 5. There just is. And you could be as talented as you want. Take the same talented guy who's done 5, let him continue for 25 more. How much more is that guy going to know and be able to offer? So it's just the process. And that both of y'all's points are like, I damn near forgot what mine was because I hate both of those things. Both of those things get on my nerves. All of the dick measuring and all the pissing contests is rooted in insecurity and ego and not for the love of art and fighting. Like, if you love those things, I love to hear information from everyone. I get excited when I hear things that, because now nobody can take it back. Like, if you guys tell me something that I like, I'm like, I smile because it's mine now. Like, I get to keep that. It's mine. I love it. And it has nothing to do with, well, my teacher says, and that's why I get caught up in these things. I don't understand.
Something about martial arts that I love is seeing the wisdom of those that are experienced, and then seeing that passed on to those that are younger. I mean, some of the incredible martial artists that I think about, and I'm putting boxers directly in that same frame as well. You look at somebody like I'll even use some MMA people, Anderson Silva. Yeah, that man's incredible. Yeah, that man is absolutely incredible, because ultimately, if you look at the elements of his fighting, his overall fighting, it just drips of wisdom from so many different perspectives. I've seen this man not, basically do techniques that were straight from the Zhao Ga's handbook of, someone throws a lazy kick at you, pick it up, catch him right in the face, and now they're on the mat, dropped. I mean, it's like beautiful, perfect timing, perfect everything, perfect execution. You take a look at someone like a Mike Tyson and his mastery, even at the age of 53, of being able to weave, and then come in with incredible shots. And it's not even about him being muscular anymore compared to where he was in his youth. It's about his perfect timing of being able to move like that, the mechanics, and then catch you right where you need to, and that's it. Out. This is why I believe that he could come back. Now, whether he can take the punishment, you know, we'll see eventually.
The conditioning is probably a thing too, but
yeah, the conditioning may be a thing as well.
I want to give
access. It's just spot on, perfect. It's beautiful to see that. That you know.
I do want to say something favorable about MMA practitioners now that I'm thinking about, because on piggybacking on Anderson Silva, I think I personally, and that way I can speak for myself and not put words in anybody else's mouth. A guy like GSP, for example, who still trains diligently, even though he's not competing, because he is a martial artist.
Yeah.
I think if there were more of those guys with that worldview, I would like MMA more, because I would see more of what I know martial arts is capable of. I just don't like brutes, and I don't like crudeness. I don't like it. I've seen brilliant people when real fighting is not like, okay, and of course we've talked about how much we love martial art movies. A lot of it looks so beautiful because we know what we're doing and we're working together. An actual fight is not quite as pretty, but when you see somebody who knows what the fuck they are doing, it can still be beautiful because it's not crude. There's precision. There's years of learning and muscle memory, and you don't have your antagonistic muscles kind of slowing and making things jittery. Things are spot on. I mean, I love James Toney. I was talking about James Toney the other day. That's my second favorite fighter of all time. I love fluidity and efficiency of motion and just smoothness. And you can tell every move is steeped. It's just reeking of experience. A man that hasn't fought long, has not fought that long, cannot move like that. The pressure and the emotional stress of the situation is way too much for a man to be has so much poise and use so little energy and just be right where he needs to be or doesn't need to be. I think a lot of these MMA guys need to be longer in the tooth with what they're doing, me personally, and work on the areas that you're not necessarily good at. I just see a lot of gross kicks and punches. They're gross to me. I see a lot of it turns me off. It's like, if that was a girl, my dick's not getting hard. Like, it's just not. It's gross. It's gross to me. So I do love seeing guys. Again, Kung Lee I loved. Lyoto Machida I really like watch. I like the guy. I guess these are my biases, but I like to see the guys that bring the martial arts to MMA. I see the training.
Yeah.
And that sounds like I'm disregarding the BJJ guys. I do see the training when I see BJJ, but I'm talking about standing up predominantly because that's my heart. That's where I'm at. And that's where I see a lot of the crudeness, and it's gross to me. I don't if you're loading up punches, if your elbows coming way out from your body and drawing back and pitching over, and it makes me feel like you haven't done it. How much training are you doing? What are y'all doing over there? I don't understand you're damn near knocking yourself off balance throwing some of the shots. I don't like it. So I don't want to make that a bash session for them, because there are, like I said, GSP is one sterling example. And, Silva's same thing. Fedor Emelianenko, guys that are well-versed, poised, and clearly experienced and have trained in all of these areas. I love that. There's a lot of guys. Big country. Why the hell? How is that a thing? How is that even a thing? I saw his fat ass simply lay on a man because you decided, I'm going to be a heavyweight because I don't want to fucking cut out anything from my diet. I've never seen a champion with a gut that rotund in my life. Yet, here he is. That's the fighter, not the martial artist. He's a fighter. He's just a guy that shows up.
Yeah. Ultimately,
grosses me out.
Well, you got to think about, what is that, UFC?
Yeah,
not MMA?
Yeah, well, I love to see it at its best. What's another guy? Rashad Evans, I really enjoyed watching. I like the skilled, smooth. I like skilled, smooth guys. Even though I don't like Conor McGregor as a person, I see the martial arts there. And at least I see that. He's a bit of a dick, but I see what you're doing.
My main thing really with some of these fighters and martial artists, it's really about ego. Ultimately everyone can lose. And I understand some of it is just bravado and trying to get your name out there, just kind of that whole adage of any publicity is good publicity.
Right.
I'm not so much for that. And especially in like a martial arts setting, arrogance usually leads towards a downfall that is going to be really bad for the person that's arrogant. So, you know, that's one element that I never liked. I mean, ultimately, to me, it just follows every arena that I'm in. I didn't like arrogant football players. I had teammates. I didn't like their asses. I played against people who were arrogant. I made it a personal vendetta to whoop their ass.
To make sure.
You know, I've sparred against people at certain tournaments who were arrogant. I remember sparring against one person who basically took it upon themselves to be proud of knocking somebody out who was like half their size the tournament before.
Yeah.
Very funny enough, the very next year, I was the first person he sparred against.
Yeah.
You know I win it.
Said I remember
because I hate bullies. Because you know, me being 6'7" and all that, I absolutely detest bullies. I could be one if I really wanted. And I hate that. I would much rather just get along with everyone, and you know, because I like just enjoying life, enjoying people, enjoying differences between people. I don't like sitting here thinking that I'm hot shit and somebody else's isn't. Like, no, the whole point here is fuck bullies.
Yeah.
You know? And that type, when you have an arrogant air about you, you know, I basically want to slap the taste out your mouth.
It reminds me of this the Count Dooku thing when he was talking to Anakin. What do you say? He was like, I'm twice as strong as I was last time we met. He's like, you know, twice the, what he would say, double the pride, twice the fall, or something along those lines. Like that's no one ever really feels empathy for the big-headed braggart who gets knocked out. Like that's kind of like you feel like, all right, well, that's what you just deserves is what you just received. You know, like it's better to come in. It's funny when I used to go to the like say Capital Classics, for example, all the point guys were really like cocky, bouncing around, loud and acting extra. And then you go over to the continuous ring and people like got just headphones on or did jumping rope and nobody's really saying anything because people tend to get hurt over here, certainly in contrast to over there, but the guys over there acting really extra. It's one of the things that really kind of turned me off about point fighting because I don't like all that. It's unnecessary. Listen, when you perform, it's going to show who's who and what's what. So I don't have to act away. And if I'm entering in a ring with people that are respect worthy, then it stands to reason that I may lose because I'm fighting against people who could hurt me possibly. You know what I'm saying? So there's no need to even walk in there with anything else, but just where your head needs to be, what the game plan is, you know, the warrior spirit, and just get in there and do your thing. And whatever happens, happens. At that point, you can leave it to God or the universe or whatever you believe, because you've done your due diligence beforehand, and then you just go do it. There's nothing gained by being arrogant and being a douchebag. There's been people that I've decisively beat, but I always go up and make sure, like, I appreciate you, like, thank you. It's not, you don't have to be an ass. You can, what's the saying? You can win like a loser and lose like a winner. You know what I'm saying? You can still be a dick and win. You can still be admired and lose. It's all about how you present yourself, and that's going to go. That taste in your mouth, the fact that you remember that guy from the next year, that shows that taste is going to remain. Now, if this was a guy that you saw in your arena or you know, maybe a division up or down that you greatly admired, you'd probably remember him next year, but for a totally different reason. I just want to shake that man's hand because I look up, I appreciate, I remember you from last year. You know what I mean?
It's funny that you even said that, because sure enough, like maybe the third or fourth person that I wound up sparring against, who I didn't even realize at that time was a Sifu, he was somebody that I had that type of respect for. It just showed. And sure enough, like the very next year I saw him and immediately walked up to him and was like, oh, I respect you, blah, blah, blah. Like that type of stuff goes a long way.
It does,
you know, and how you act and how you treat people. It really goes a long way. And those that basically treat this like, okay, well, whatever, I can act however I want and there's no consequences. There's always a consequence.
It's just gross to me. Like I think it's so much cooler to not. I mean, in terms of just being cool, like who I would admire, like when Luke walked into, I'm bringing all my Star Wars shit in here. When Luke walks into Jabba's lair in Jedi, he wasn't arrogant. There just was confidence. You know, he's dipped out in all black. I'm just saying that this is what it is. Matter of factly, I'm speaking with assertiveness, but not arrogance. It wasn't cocky. It wasn't in here like, you know, you're strolling in like Billy Badass, because you're still, first of all, you're not respectful of the scenario that you're in. If you have such little respect for the scenario you're in, I don't understand why you're there. Like if you're heads and, you know, just heads and shoulders above everybody to the point where you can disregard everyone here, what is the value of you winning this thing? It's nothing then, right? If everyone else sucks and you're awesome, why did you enter? What is the purpose? What are you proving? You wanted a trophy? You can buy one.
And Joe, I know you have a funny story about a certain why are you shaking your head?
Dude.
About a certain somebody that you know, wanted to spar against me at one of the tournaments and was a little too arrogant about that.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't like arrogance at all. Just that's a character flaw I'm not tolerant of. If you want to sit there and challenge people, and you want to do it because you're so much better, you better be in a room that's really has a really shallow gene pool or a fighting pool to pull from, because you don't know who's listening to that conversation.
Right.
You know, they may go, okay, if you're that good, you don't have to fight that guy that you actually are sure that you'll beat. I'll take you on.
Right.
You know, and that's going to change everything about you. You're going to sit there and go, well, I'm sure I can beat him. Well, we're not talking about him anymore. We're talking about the new person that actually wants to fight you.
That's right.
You know, and that in itself is something I think everyone who's arrogant doesn't calculate.
Yeah.
They set up. They use this bravado or this ego to kind of cover up all these insecurities of not having control of their own environment.
Right.
You know, I can beat this guy in specific, but that's really not the guy you should be worried about.
Yeah.
It's the guy you don't know that you can beat. You know, I mean, if you're going to determine, and I agree with you, if you're going to determine and saying, okay, I can beat everyone here, why did you join?
I mean, certainly to the point where you feel like you can be disrespectful to everyone here. I don't understand why you're here.
Yeah.
What's the purpose? Like, I would come because I want to prove something. Doesn't necessarily sound like what I'm trying to convey here, but perhaps prove something to myself, or at least test myself in a way against folks that are going to be able to bring something out of me that your normal sparring scenario is not going to get to extract from you. So you want that experience. There's something pretty cool about fighting strangers. You know, if you spar everybody at your school, we know each other, we've cultivated relationships. It's not gonna bring out the same kind of emotional scenario. You know what I mean? Because if have someone being unsure that this stranger might want to actually hurt me, and they might think that about me, we're both going to perform in a way that we wouldn't perform against. Like, I know you guys, so I feel safe with you guys. You know, even if something happens, I know it's not a malicious scenario. Where a stranger, it more emulates or simulates reality, because I don't know what the intentions of this other person are. So you're gonna, you know, but if you're in here, just
in your schools, you're in a nice little safe spot. Yeah, you know, I mean, John and I, we're oddballs. Yeah, we actually did want to take off each other's head for all the right reasons. It wasn't because we were trying to take off each other's head. We were trying to make sure that if someone else out there in the street had equal intention to do so,
right,
well, you prepare for that. You know what it feels like. You know how to roll with it. You know what technique is best for that scenario.
Right.
You know how to tuck your chin. You know how to actually roll with that punch. You know a lot more from taking that data in that controlled environment,
right,
than you would do in a non-predictable environment.
Yeah.
You know, but just to be absolutely honest, to find that, to actually have that in a martial arts school, no matter what division you're in,
right,
someone who wants to go at that 80%, which is really scary.
Yeah.
In a martial arts school, you're not going to find many people that want to go to that guy.
Yeah, Anson is like Anson, our relationship as far as fighting is concerned certainly is kind of similar to what you guys are describing between you two, because it's when you know each other enough to know we can go in a way that I can't do with most of the other people in the school. Like I can't. Sometimes it's been funny. Sometimes we'll be sparring and people are kind of like distracted from what they're doing because they think we're just beating the brakes out of each other. But first of all, I know that he's on point enough that my money stuff is probably not even going to really hit him. And if it does, it's not going to be often. Same thing. But you're moving at this kind of frenetic pace because you can both go there. You can both get to that place and still feel safe. And a lot of people don't feel comfortable and they don't feel safe. And the other thing, the part of being safe is not giving a damn if I do get hit. So that's the other thing. You can't.
Well, like John, you're gonna get hurt. Well, like John and I had this nice little agreement that if he knocked me out or if I knocked him out, we actually bring each other flowers. Right. So it's one of those things that we actually had a nice little gentleman's agreement about that. Like if there's a possibility this may happen, well, at least care for my feelings enough to actually bring me something nice when I wake up. But
it's only right. It's only right.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, because seriously, when you find that person that you can actually go, ramp it up with.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a few things that are going to happen. Number one, you just basically put a spotlight on both of y'all at whatever environment you're at.
And Anthony just text me
whether you're sparring together at some event or something like that. And the second thing that's going to happen are people are either going to shy away from you or they're going to want to challenge you next. And if they're not willing to ramp it up to that next level, they're going to get their jaw tapped. And that happened with people that we wound up sparring against, at our school and other places, just because, the ego creeps in. For us, I think the ego may have been there, but it was the first time. It was dormant enough that we could actually be friends. Because let's put it like this: the way during Joel, the sparring match between Joel and I, our first sparring match, if we didn't have our egos in check, we would be bitter enemies. Because I wasn't stepping down at all. I'm the big guy. So, being 6'3", whatever I was back then, picture me backing up from what? I'm standing right here, you back up. and Joe wasn't backing up. And we over here trading haymakers that would drop just about anybody.
And for the record, anyone watching, I'm not 6'8".
No,
I'm not 6'7".
He's 6 foot, and back then you were about 240. And so either way, we don't do chin push-ups. So the shit fucking hurt. You know what I mean? But even still, the fact of the matter is we're willing to do that. We're willing to ramp it up. And then at the moment where it looks like we're about to start wilding out, this motherfucker says, "You all right?" With a sly ass look on his face, and I'm just like, "Oh, fuck you, man." We just start dying and laughing. Friendship cemented at that moment.
Boom. Right. That's a beautiful thing. There are certain. I don't know that you can get the same types of relationships from a non-martial art respect relationship that you can get. You know what I'm saying? It's a special thing. If you have friends that you can beat each other up, it's just a beautiful. It's just a beautiful thing. It's beautiful.
I mean, the only other place I could find that, the only other place I could think of where you could find that are the military and football.
Yeah.
Because like I got people that I felt like I went to war with as far as football is concerned. That those are my brothers for life. And I know Joel got people that he's been talking about that he trained with, that if he found them right now on Facebook or wherever the hell, that's somebody that he would instantly get in touch with immediately. So
there's a thing, sharing a common peril and a common threat, You know what I mean? Like, we've gone through this thing together. It's a bonding thing. And there's an old saying, when you fight someone, your souls touch. You know a person in a way that a lot of people don't. Even their partner might not know them in the way that you know them. Not suggesting that that you know them better than a person's spouse, but there's a way that you do know them that your spouse does not know them. Yeah. You've never fought them. You know what I mean? So there's sides of that. There's an intimacy to it. There's almost kind of there's a romantic thing. I think that it's cool. It's how often do you get to know people in that way? The true selves. That's them. That's who they are.
I mean, John and I used to, as John said earlier, we used to live together. So we had a lot of these conversations like this.
Mm-hmm.
When you're sparring someone or you're kind of heated,
yeah,
you both got this dude in the basement that usually no one sees. Right. I mean, he don't come out for nobody. You actually keep him downstairs and nice and docile, and you keep him out of public view because you don't want him that guy to embarrass you.
Right. Slide his food under the door. Just keep him down.
And sparring, that guy gets to come out a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, the thing about that guy, that's not something you're going to show your wife or your girlfriend or your mom and dad.
Yeah.
You're not going to show it to a kid. You're not going to show it to your teacher. You're really not even going to show it to a person that you hate because you don't really want to do this to this guy.
Right.
Not consciously.
Certainly not let them prepare. I don't want you to necessarily know how touched I might be.
Yeah. I mean, you don't want just to kind of wild out on somebody and not give this guy a chance to even come back on that. But maybe that's just the martial arts part of you. But I don't think that I think that when you're in a school in a nice controlled environment and you have people that you can trust them to not judge you on that side.
Yeah. Well, because they're showing you their side too. So it's kind of in this together. We're mutually invested in what we're doing. So like our true selves can be and have a place to kind of run free. It's like having a lot of land to let your dog run. Just let him just run. Go tire yourself out, get it out of there. So it's beautiful. I think most of my close friends are martial artists or have boxed or done something. Like most of my close friends, probably 80% it's a weird thing I need to be able to have that outlet. Like I was telling John, I was saying to Joel, I can't wait till the fucking coast is clear so I can go over there and have some more of these kinds of conversations because I enjoy these just as much as the fighting part because I'm talking to people who understand what I'm saying when I'm talking about this stuff. Most of the people that we know aren't crazies and they don't want to hear this much martial arts. It's been almost 2 hours. No one wants to hear it. No one wants to hear that much.
Most people listen to this have probably signed off this thing, man.
But it's a trip because, I mean, ultimately, this is just even these conversations get you really focused on, all right, well, you know what? I need to get my stuff in order. I can't wait till I could spar again. So I can't wait till I could train with my brothers again and whatnot. Yeah. Like I saw Khalil just getting amped over there, and I'm sitting there like, bro, I'm with you, man. I'm right there with you. I'm over here like, all right, we need to get this whole COVID-19 thing. It put a damper on us for now, but I mean, this is, I guess, the time where we just take what we have and just try and get ourselves on point so that when it's all over or when, we have it better under control, a better understanding of it, then we can, get back to what we're used to doing, which is being right there in that gym, in that ring with them gloves on, getting it in.
And that's the good thing is even when we do kind of, I guess, this phase one softer opening thing, like, I know that you guys are conscientious enough and care enough about yourselves and others to like, you're not just roaming all freely. Like a lot of people are just doing whatever the hell they're doing.
Yep. No.
I scarcely go anywhere. I've literally gone to maybe 7-Eleven 5 times under this whole thing, the gas station 2 or 3, and of course you do your weekly or maybe every 10-day grocery store run. Mm-hmm. The liquor store was part of the run, but that's usually that's all in one foul swoop. But so yeah, as soon as they kind of give at least a little bit of the green light, like this is just 3 people. It's literally just us. I don't know that how high can the risks be? We're not out trying to go to the beach and be around 1,000 other people. I mean, stuff like that is ridiculous. I don't even know what these people are thinking, but I'm certainly looking forward to it. I'm actually on week 3. I just finished week 3 today's Friday, of my phase 1 of trying to get myself back in shape. Like the first month, I really took it like a vacation. So I'm like, all right, margaritas, eat fajitas, we're chilling. And then all of a sudden the scale started to talk a little shit to me. So I was like, all right, let's get back to what we're supposed to be doing. So like, I'm probably not going to drink for a while. I haven't drank since it's been a week. It's been a week. That's good for me. In COVID status, that's like 2 weeks. I get double credit for that. But I'm actually really about to kick this stuff into gear. It's starting to feel good to where I'm not quite as sore anymore.
Water.
Oh, bro. This is I have to drink 4 of these a day.
Yeah, see, everyone watching, you got 2 water, and I ain't doing that.
I'm just back. Well, the other thing is I have to, I contend with some other things. So I do like to drive points home to people who I consider to be opponents. Like I like to. It gives me a certain pride to prove people wrong. If I want to make a liar out of you and a fool out of you, I enjoy that. It's just good. That's part of the fighting. It's part of the martial arts stuff. Like I can't actually literally fight anybody right now, but we can engage on another plane. And I have a lot of.
Yeah.
I like defeating people who deserve to be defeated. I enjoyed that. So that's part of it. But again, I'm just trying to get myself back to once we're ready to get back out there. I want to feel good and be streamlined and smooth. I'm 5'9", man. I should never be over 200 pounds. I just shouldn't. Especially at this age, I just shouldn't. So I'm trying to, I'm gonna get this back into the mix. So
yeah, I hear that.
Yeah. Plus, I got the teenagers.
I've been at it all year, and I done told Joel about this. My little challenge for the year. Every day of the year, do a push-up for that day of the year.
It sucks.
Right now, we're on this. Today is the 150th day of the year, which means I got 150 push-ups and 150 V-ups to do. And tomorrow will be 151. And if I skip a day, I have to do the previous day plus that day.
Oh God, that's
if you want to catch up,
don't do that, man. Especially don't do it my way. My way, Paul, was just completely stupid, man. John told me about this mess, and I decided to do all those push-ups at one time. All right, so John didn't tell me that you could do it for the day. He said 100 push-ups or 130 push-ups at the point in time. And I was like, I can do that, no problem. So I try to take my little time and put it all in like 15 minutes.
No. Right now, I'm literally getting in shape to get in shape. That's what's happening. So
you know what the reasoning behind what I'm thinking is? It's the whole mindset of what's Herschel Walker doing right now?
Oh, yeah.
That's my mindset. That man was 53 years old when he basically ground and pound dude out in an MMA arena. Look, Herschel Walker, respect, brother. The fact that you're over here doing push-ups and V-ups in between commercials while watching TV, doing thousands of them a day. Look, I could do 360 by the end of this year. 365.
We're not there. We're not there yet.
No. You got to start at one.
My goal for this year. So last year, I was trying to do. I wanted to go 44 rounds for my 44th birthday on my 44th. So basically, a ton of different stations, 3 minutes at each station, 30 seconds between for 44 rounds. My shoulder was getting worse and worse and worse. I was like, I got to ease up or I'm actually going to hurt something. So coming back, I've been really methodically slow and listening to what my body's doing. It hasn't really been bothering me. Now, when I'm on the bench, I'm aware of it, but it doesn't hurt. There's no pain. I just can feel that I'm not going to be putting a lot of weight. I'm not going to be lifting heavy. So like now I'm doing like set to 25. I did 5 sets of 25 on the bench. Like it's that kind of weight. And we're going to be stepping things up little by little. But a lot of this now, I have to just be more intelligent about what I'm doing with the weight when it comes to the weights. because I don't want to fuck it up. I enjoy everything else, so I don't want to mess it up. I love the bag. I love everything. I don't know if y'all saw, I got a new battle rope now that's a fat, heavy battle rope. Like that shit is 3 minutes on that motherfucker. You'll be going strong for the 30 seconds. And it seemed like once that 40, 50 comes in, you're like, oh. Yeah, so we're getting there, man. We're getting there. I'm trying to get myself, like, by the time my birthday comes, I want 45. On my birthday, everyone leave me alone. I want 45 rounds this August.
I ain't doing that, man. I'm 46 years old, man. I ain't doing that, man.
That's my plan, man.
I just want to get to that. Builds character, man.
Well, the thing is, look, we're probably still not going to really be going anywhere by that time.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, I don't have anything else. I'm like the proverbial monk who goes up into the mountains and wants to come back down and be somebody different by the time it's all done. I don't have really, I guess that's my goal. I'm not going anywhere. Plus, some of these young whippersnappers, I had talked to Khalil off, I said off air, like I'm on a show, but I talked to him before we got on, and there's a young guy, and I'm not going to put him out there. If he's watching, I know he's not, but if he's watching, he's going to know who I'm talking. He's going to know it's him. But like, it's a crazy thing where when I was younger, I'm not going to say I listened to every older person's advice, but I certainly listened to people who were more like big brother figures than, say, my parents. Your parents, it's almost like they don't know what they're talking about. But somebody like Tom, I would have listened to some of the things he's saying, because it's an older brother. It's a guy who you look up to, somebody who's older, but not your parents. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes your parents, you feel like they're too out of touch and you're not going to listen to them. But perhaps somebody a little bit younger than them, but older than you, I'm going to hear some of the things, at least. Even if I don't take heed to every aspect of advice that you give me, I am listening and respecting your opinion. Like, I'm taking in some of that data. And this dude is one of these cats that, it wasn't even related to martial arts. If you're gonna come online every day and complain about women, I feel like I could help you. I'm like 15 years your senior. I could probably give you some advice in these things. And if somebody feel like the advice was always thrown back in my face, like he always resented it, like I'm pulling an age card, and I'm pulling an experience card, not an age card. Generally speaking, though, if you're that much older than a person, you're probably going to have some experiences that might help them. That's just generally, that's how it works. But anyway, he got in my inbox. I guess he just resented this third or fourth time I'm trying to kind of make this overture to guide you a little bit. And so now that we're in a private message and you've kind of recanted all of my attempts to like be a big brother to you, I actually kind of just had to put it straight, and he got really like offended. But I'm like, you come off like a douchebag. You come off like a know-it-all asshole. And I mean, I'm trying to fucking help you. Listen, if your dick is that dry and you're struggling that much, I know if it was me, I would want to find out how to make my dick not so dry. I would want to know how not to struggle with women, because clearly you are. You're online with 5 or 6 posts every day complaining about how your lack of success. So anyhow, I know that by the next time we physically see one another, he's going to feel away. I'm not going to feel away because, again, I don't have any problems with women. My problem's with money. So if he wants to help me with my money, I'm all ears. My pocket is fucked up, but it's never been an issue there. But I do know that because he goes to the sparring things too. So it'll be interesting, and I definitely intend to be in shape, Paul. Just in case you want to try to make a point, I'm going to make sure that you're not going to make the point that you're going
to. So what you're saying is that he's still going to be dry?
Oh, his dick is probably still dry. That part I can't. If you're not listening, bro, like I don't know what to tell you. Look, can you okay? Think about how dry it must be to come online multiple times a day and talk about how dry your shit is. That's pretty good.
That doesn't sound like the type of advertising you want to give.
Nah, right. And that's what I'm trying to tell him. Like, bro, like, first of all, you're giving it all away right now. So anybody who may have been teetering on the edge, you're now telling them you're not a success. You're not a success.
You have no practice in that arena. So
you're letting everyone know that it's a struggle out there. That's not really a becoming thing. Like, at least,
that's fire.
Hey, so it's weird. I mean, again, I'm not taking it in a way, but I'm a naturally competitive person. And I just feel like if you're going to feel that way, again, naturally suspicious, I'm a counter person. So I always consider the way a person might behave. He might not have me on his mind at all, but I'm not gonna waltz in there thinking you don't.
Yeah, well, I mean, if he doesn't have you on his mind, then that just means that you're that much more on point. And if he does,
right, you lose nothing.
No, you just check him. And that's
you lose nothing. I just and I like again, dude. I just enjoy the art of the whole shit. I like, especially when there is some, because normally most of my sparring and martial art experiences have always been positive. There's always been guys like y'all. So there's never like a bone to pick. So it's kind of a rare thing to maybe have somebody that you don't, maybe you don't get along so well. That's actually kind of a rarity. I'm game for that too, actually. I mean, you're significantly younger than me. Whoop the old man's ass. Fuck me up then. Fuck me up.
Hey, man. There's a lot to say about being. There's a lot to say about being the old man. There's a lot of advantages to that. Yeah, I mean, I like being the old man.
It's actually kind of a role that it's fun being, because first of all, I say it all the time. I like to say it. Now, how a young person's ears receives that and what you think that means when I say it, that's a whole nother thing. I'm not necessarily saying I am what you think I am. I'm saying I'm an old man. That's all I'm saying. I've been around.
I like my gray.
We'll get some dashes in there.
I'm telling you, man. If I can get it like down to here and have that whole, like Santa beard, I'd be happy.
Oh man, I might start walking with a cane just because.
Joel's trying to walk around like Pi May and shit.
Right. You gotta stroke it. Yeah, man. But no, I mean, I've never liked working out, but I like to have a reason. I like to have some incentive. So like if there's an event or there's a thing or there's a whatever, so maybe that just helps me, that just gives me a reason. That gives me a reason to actually get myself where I want to be, just in case, the only other martial art enemy I think I have, and I'm not saying this gentleman's an enemy, I don't look at him like that, but there's one that I have, and I've talked to your head about that same came from our school. Did we lose John?
Yeah. Yep, yes we did. He went blank and now he's back.
Oh yeah, looks like my battery was getting low on this side.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I won't hold y'all for too much more because it's
I'm good.
It's like 11:36 shit. But now this last day, the one person I wish I could really have a full contact thing with, he would never do it.
We all have that person.
Yeah, I wish he would do it. I wish he would do that.
Or people.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a list of people, but I know every one of those people would absolutely decline.
Right.
Yeah.
See.
I'm thinking of one right now who would probably call the cops.
Oh, right. Look,
I got one on my list. I'll probably do that too.
Dude, I wish I could show up.
And the funny thing about it is, Joel, it's the same person with both of us.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But actually, if you count him, I got two.
So I got curious about the other. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he definitely call the cops. Okay, that's
yeah. I just have the one, but I wish that could be a thing. Like I again, in my heart of hearts, in a dreamland, I would love for it to be a thing where loser never teaches again. I would love for it to be like that.
Look, man.
All of your students, all of our let's have our teacher, let's have everyone here. Loser never teaches again. I would love that.
Yeah, but cats like that, they're never going to volunteer to have you do a little fandango on his face.
Never.
They're not going to do that. They're not going to sit there and go, okay, let me go ahead and confirm that you're the better person or the better martial artist or the better. Because I'm pretty much playing it out that you would not beat him into a bloody pulp.
No.
First of all, you would just show the place. That's it.
I've seen him concede to far less, so I know it wouldn't even take that. It wouldn't even require that. I've seen him essentially kowtow on at least 3 occasions that I can think of right offhand that I've seen him. It's a little, I'm embarrassed for you in a way. I mean, you're capable of more than that. You just don't believe in yourself at all. But and I would be fine with that. But he's a dude who sells himself real big. But I know what you actually are. I know what you are. Now that you have students, you talk a certain way and you present a certain way. But I know what you are and I know who you are. First of all, I've done it to you. I've seen Anson do it to you. I've seen a stranger do it to you at a turn. I've seen it happen to you on multiple occasions. So that's really, I think, the only thing that offends me is that you sell all these people this total other thing. And that bothers me, that you could be humble and just be like, look, I'm a guy that teaches martial arts and I want people to know things and big them up and big their spirit. But it's a whole act. It's a whole thing. And I just find it it's grotesque. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I don't. That guy. Oh, that's what it
is. I mean, some people just, they're not authentic and they want to basically sell snake oil to others. And, I think that's where a lot of people, and in some cases, mixed martial artists might get angry at the so-called traditional martial artist who is selling snake oil and isn't real and isn't honorable and is just in it for the money. Those type of people give us a bad name.
Right.
And when you're talking about the ones that are honorable and that actually train and have a certain set of morals to them, those are the people that, I would say a lot of these martial artists, whether they're traditional or mixed martial artists, will probably look at it and say, okay, real recognizes real, I salute you.
And the thing is, even traditional martial artists, the con artists and the snake, we want them to get their ass beat too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We also want them to get their ass beat. It's not like we're protecting those guys. I mean, they make us look shitty. I don't whoop him, please whoop him. If they won't fight us, fuck it, bang him out. Go, somebody take him out. Somebody knock some sense into that dude. You see a couple, and we'll wrap up with this because, like I said, I could talk to you all night with this stuff. You've seen some of those videos where the guys that they're just using kind of like this chi force to knock people away, and they get all these people to like run at them, and then they just kind of like fall down. And it's beyond those instructors deserving to have their ass whooped. How do they find so many people willing to play that game with them? How do you have?
It goes back to the whole thing I said in the beginning. It's people wanting the shortcut.
But I would feel myself acting for my teacher and then just falling down all of a sudden. Like, how do you? And they pay him. You should be paying me to make you look like that. Like, I don't understand how that works. They make a lot of money. They make a lot of money for doing something that's completely phony. I don't understand. I don't get it, man.
I mean, for a second, I thought you were talking about politics.
No,
it's shit. I mean, I guess, yeah, that's it.
That matches.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, honestly, some of these mega churches too, same kind of thing. You get people to, I'm healed and I'm catching the Holy Ghost and all of this crazy stuff that I don't know, where are all these dummies? Because I need a little bit of money right now. Like, I can use it, and I could actually maybe teach you a couple things. You don't have to perform for me. How about like we just cut to something that?
Let's put it like on that note, as far as the church is concerned, I'm a Christian. I've prefaced this about what I'm about to say. Yeah. All those healers and prophets and whatnot.
Right.
COVID-19.
Yo, did
COVID-19 is here. Go on, start healing.
Name, is it Kenny something? Where they did a remix of his tirade and turned it into one of those songs and whatnot that they do to people. But he's like, he's spitting the demon. But this guy's got like millions and millions, like hundreds of millions of dollars. It's like Kenny something. What the hell is his name? They made a whole video out of this guy. How are people that gullible? Like, I don't understand. I don't get that level of stupidity. You want to believe in something so bad? I'm gonna send y'all the video after we get off of this. I'm saying that. Yeah, but anyways, well, let's wrap this joint up, man. Because I said, I could do this forever. I do want to do these kind of regularly, because I enjoy them so much. Plus, hopefully, for anybody that likes martial arts and you like these kinds of talks, then come chill with us, talk with us. I want to do this more often. Like I said, I'm doing boxing ones, but also I want to do martial art ones with martial artists. I know too many awesome people that do martial arts and that bring insight and information and experience to this stuff. And so yeah, hopefully you guys can do this again if you guys are.
Hopefully we kept it kind of informative and kind of entertaining, and we brought something to your channel and stuff like that. That's the whole thing. I
can tell you, I love it. Like if nothing else, this makes my Saturday and Friday and Saturday evenings, because I enjoy doing these things anyway. Like I said, one of my favorite things is to go to Joel's house. We just bend some elbows and talk some martial arts. And that might bleed into politics, or that might bleed into comic books, or that might bleed into religion or whatever else. But I just
John knows that stuff.
See, so like, I definitely would love to.
We've done this for more than just 2 hours on midnight. So
listen, I sat at that man's house and just till I don't remember what I'm talking about. But yeah, and so that what I'd like to do too is we're gonna consistently have kind of a rotation of folks that we all get a chance to talk to. I mean, I think there's a relatively tight circle where most of us have kind of at least met all the faces, but not everybody might not know each and every individual. So
I met someone new tonight, so I was enjoying that.
Yeah. And I knew it was going to be interesting conversation with all of you guys. So I'm really, really glad that we could actually do this. I know Anson said he actually just texted me a few minutes ago, was asking for the link, so he at least wants to see it. I guess he's done with his work. And who else? Oh, Gary, he, like I said, he was kind of in his feelings about everything that's happening, and he's down there in Atlanta, so they're burning it up and protesting, and so he was like, he's like, I totally forgot. He went to kind of spend time with a friend, and just he's going through it.
Shout out to Gary, man. Hold your head, man. For real, we're all going through it, brother.
Seriously, I mean, and that's a really, really good dude. So we're definitely gonna try to see if he can hang out with us next week, and we're gonna keep doing it. We're just gonna keep doing it, and hopefully, tell folks that y'all know, and I know we're tight knit, smaller schools, but I kind of prefer things that way anyway. But let them know they can join us and just at least in the chat, or just check it out, and that way they might throw us some questions, so that way it's not necessarily all on us. But it'll be dope. So I really, really appreciate it, guys. Seriously, like,
thanks for having us, man.
Kind of the thing I definitely want to continue doing this. So I will wrap to y'all fellas super, super soon, man.
All right, man.
All right. Thank you.
Take it easy.
Appreciate it.
Peace.
Peace.